Hello, everybody. Today we are doing our first ever political stream, and I guess this is going to get edited down to our first ever political video on as one of the first ever videos on this second or third channel. And so I'm just going to jump right into it here. We're chatting with our chat here, doing our first political stream. And as of recording this video, Trump has been in office for 4 days. 4 days now, so I wanted to go over everything that Trump has done and go over it and discuss with y'all one by one everything that he has done here, right? So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. So I just found this thing. We'll probably like click onto other links and we'll go to other things here and stuff like that. But that's what we're gonna do, right? So obviously when Trump got in, just like every president, right, they did a million executive orders and we're going to go over them, right? And I know one of the first things that Trump did, right, was get rid of like 70 or 80 executive orders, 70 or 80 executive orders that Biden had done, right? Several of them were, actually, let me see if I can find that. The list of every executive order of Biden that Trump got rid of here. Play games and shut the fuck up. How about you shut the fuck up? See how easy it is to do that? You see how easy it is to do that? Okay, I want to find an exact list of all of the ones that he got rid of here, you know? Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the first thing that we're going to go ahead and start talking about, right? One of the executive orders signed on January 20th, 2025, President Trump issued an order entitled Initial Recessions of Harmful Executive Orders and Actions. It revoked a long list of executive orders and actions by his predecessor, Joe Biden. Now, this is nothing normal, right? Or no, sorry, this is nothing not normal. Every president Biden, the second he got in, started getting rid of a lot of things here. So number one, he got rid of Executive Order 13988, preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. So you now are allowed, I think some of these are specifically based on, like federal government things, and some of them are, all federal agencies to review all existing orders, regulations, guidance things, and that prohibit sex discrimination and revise, suspend, or rescind such agency actions and stuff like that. So he got rid of that. He got rid of the Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Undeserved Communities through the federal government, and order issued during the first Trump administration, right, which then Biden got rid of. Now Trump's in it, right, and got rid of it here. So kind of making it okay to discriminate on race, on sex, on gender identity, sexual orientation, stuff like that. So discrimination, good. And further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. So you're gonna see a notice, right? Obviously, Trump has been running on his anti-DEI, anti all that stuff. Project 2025 as well. There's a lot of proponents of the Great Replacement theory, which is all these rich white people think that there's this whole conspiracy to slowly replace all of the white people or something like that. So there's a lot of them. There's like 80 of these. So we're going to need to kind of speed through them. Let's see. Advancing economy efficiency and effectiveness in federal contracting by promoting pay equity and transparency. Also got rid of a lot of the COVID things, COVID vaccination requirement from federal workers. Establishments of White House Gender Policy Council, which was Biden administration continues actions aimed at addressing and advancing racial and gender equality, non-displaced of qualified workers under service contracts. And this doesn't have a full list of all of the things he did, but either way, we're gonna go to a more digestible thing. But he got rid of a lot of Biden stuff, right? So we could pick apart all of those things and be like, oh, some of those were good, some of those were bad, but it's going to be easier for us to just go take a look at all of the executive orders that he did. that he did. So let's see. And this AP article kind of puts all of the executive orders in categories, so it's going to make it really easy to actually look at this. Your face cam is freezing up sometimes. If anyone else is seeing that, let me know, because I hope and believe that I'm doing okay here. So obviously, one of the biggest things that Trump ran on was immigration and the U.S. border, right? He was constantly talking about how, the Haitians are eating the dogs and they're eating the cats. But memes aside, right? That is what he ran on. If you go look at any of the previous, presidential debates, that was pretty much every response to anything that he was asked about was talking about how it was all caused by immigrants and criminals coming in and committing murder and stuff like that, right? So he, first of all, designated an invasion across the southern border of the United States, a move that triggers certain executive branch powers. So Trump says his cabinet shall take appropriate action to repel, repatriate, or remove any alien engaged in this invasion. So this was obvious. We were going to expect this. And it is a genuine issue. It is a genuine conversation and debate. The Biden administration was deporting a bunch of people, obviously not as much as we're probably about to see here, because also one of the orders allows the U.S. military service members to act as immigration and border enforcement officers as part of Trump's promised mass deportation program. The order covers the Ready Reserve and National Guard, military property that could be used in the detention space, ground and air transport vehicles, and other logistics services in support of civilian-controlled law things. The act has historically limited use of military personnel in domestic law enforcement actions, but Trump's order framed migrant flow as a national security threat, so he's going to be allowed to use all of these, resources and stuff like that, right? So he's also stopping refugee arrivals and suspending the U.S. refugee admission program effective January 7th and pending a 90-day review. And with this, I want to say something this doesn't say. Trump always talks about how, it's just the criminals. It's just the criminals that are here illegally, right? They're ruining the country, all of this stuff. And he claimed that he had nothing wrong with legal immigration. But there is an app on people's phone that the Biden administration had set up to help the legal immigration process. And a day or two after all of these executive orders happened, that app no longer works, right? So there's people that were going through the legal process. I guess the argument or debate is, that I don't know, they don't like the way that legal process works, but instead of improving it or fixing it or anything, they just took down the app, along with taking down the Constitution off of the government website and taking down either several or all of these Spanish speaking pages off of the government website, and a lot of parts on the government website that were giving resources towards either pregnant women or just women in general. And hey, Purple Mafia, thanks for following, and also Observator, thanks for the 8 months. Appreciate it. People respond well to strong ideas. Middle of the road crap doesn't motivate people to go and vote. Yeah. And that was definitely, I'm sure we'll talk about it more. Definitely one of the issues with the Democrats campaign with Kamala, right? They were getting they were trying to appeal to moderates. They were trying to, They were trying to have like Liz Cheney, right? And all these like Republicans on their side so they could try to get it. And it's like, no, they needed to just do their own thing, So suspending refugee arrivals. And then this is my favorite one, right? For everybody that is a super big conservative, right? And they all talk about the Constitution, right? The Second Amendment in the Constitution, all these amendments in the Constitution. And the first thing that this motherfucker tries to do is literally get rid of a part of the Constitution, because he tried to redefine birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. A Trump order asserts that a child born in the U.S. is not a citizen if, one, the mother does not not have legal immigration status or is in the country legally but only temporarily, and 2, the father is not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent residence. The order forbids U.S. agencies from issuing any document recognizing such a child as a citizen or accept any state document recognizing citizenship. This order is already being challenged in, federal court, right? And in fact, that whole thing is probably not going to happen because, surprise, surprise, you can't change the fucking, you can't change the fucking Constitution like that with an executive order. You just can't, right? So the fact that he's already trying should be scaring people, right? It's already been taken down. Yeah, I imagine there's going to be some back and forth. I imagine Trump's not going to just, back down or whatever like that, and stuff like that. Then prioritize the continued construction of this wall. And the judge laughed at the face of the justice attorney. Wait, what? Okay, wait, I gotta see that. What does the 14th Amendment say? Can we get a looking at the source reading of the 14th Amendment? Well, we can't read it off of the government website because Trump took the Constitution off of that. Okay, here, let's look at that. I'm fine with that. What does the 14th Amendment say? Let's read it. Because like I said, guys, I am totally fine with this here. Oh, the Constitution's back on the website. Okay. So they brought the Constitution back. Let's go. Okay. So let's do this here. So 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Literally the first sentence. All people born in the U.S. are citizens. That's in the fucking Constitution. That has been in the Constitution forever. So as you can imagine, not very easy to get rid of that. Right. So let's hear. Someone said that judge laughed. Does you have a link? Does anyone have a link or something? That's gotta go. Okay, while we're at it, can we get rid of the Second Amendment? Are you okay with that? If we're gonna just start picking and choosing what parts of the Constitution, the women voting. Okay, judge laughed at. Does that, if someone has links, throw it in our serious chat, on our Discord, and we'll watch it, live on stream, and stuff like that. So someone's saying it was a Supreme Court case, that 1898 Supreme Court case, United States versus Wong Kim Ark. Okay, let's see this here. Let's see this. What was that? Let's see here. Okay, United States. The Chinese Exclusion Acts denied citizenship to Chinese migrants. Moreover, by treaty, no Chinese subject in the United States could become a naturalized citizen. Wong Kim Ark was born in San Francisco to parents who were both Chinese citizens who resided in the United States. 21, he returned to China, and then when he returned, he was denied entry. Question: is a child who was born in the U.S. to Chinese citizen parentships who are lawful residents of the U.S., is he a citizen? Conclusion: because Wong was born in the U.S. and his parents were not employed in any diplomatic or official capacity under the Emperor of China, citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment automatically makes him a U.S. citizen. Justice Horace Gray authored the opinion on behalf of a 6-2 majority in which the court established the parameters of the concept known as jus soli, the citizenship of children born in the United States to non-citizens. Justice Joseph took no part in the consideration. Yeah. But yeah, if we're gonna just start picking and choosing parts of the Constitution, can we get rid of the Second Amendment? Can we get rid of woman voting? Can we get rid of freedom of speech? I mean, do we need freedom of speech, and stuff like that? Also, so the judge was quoted when Trump recently tried to get rid of it. He said, "Frankly, I have a difficulty understanding how a member of the bar would state unequivocally that this is a constitutional order. It just boggles my mind." Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy. Birthright citizenship is very much an American thing, as is the Second Amendment, but 2A is positive and 14A is being used negatively today. Can you provide evidence? Is it just based on your feelings of like, why you think you know that. I mean, because I don't know. Like what? But okay, so we're getting sidetracked. We're getting sidetracked here. Bottom line, right? We don't need to be fucking getting rid of the goddamn Constitution, right? And anyone that is okay with that happening is fucking whack. Okay, so let's continue, right? Constitution of the wall. We're gonna keep on doing it. We're going to direct the Attorney General and Homeland Security to create Homeland Security Task Force in all 50 states, comprising of state and local law enforcement charged with ending the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations. I know a lot about politics. Obviously, there's a lot of depth and things like that. Out of all of the things, that Trump has done, this to me is maybe okay with him saying he's trying to go after some of these cartels and stuff like that. Now, I will say though, I don't think that's going to be the full story, right? Because I mean, in the same breaths, he's going after all of these other immigrants. And I'm going to skip ahead here because I'm going to try to find specifically the part that I want to talk about here, which is, where is it? Because he did an executive order that got rid of something that pretty much said there were two things. He got rid of something that one prevented say ICE raids, right? Immigration raids. Since like 2013, they weren't allowed to go after schools or churches or like protected places like that, right? Because the idea is you don't want to, scare citizens and people into going to important places like hospitals and churches and schools. And in fact, I'm pretty sure, here's the link I wanted. Oh, this is the link of Trump. Oh, okay, what is this? Oh, okay, here we go. Here, let's watch this.
We were waiting to hear from the judge on the request on Trump's birthright citizenship order. Do we have a decision?
We do. A quick decision, Chris. The judge just issued a temporary restraining order, putting a nationwide block, at least temporarily, on Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship for children who are born to mothers who are in the United States either unlawfully or temporarily. This was quick. I'm told by our producers in the room, Daniel Barnes, said that the judge said out loud, I have signed the TRO, that temporary restraining order, just as soon as the lawyers from both sides stopped talking. It was a quick decision. But what this means, Chris, is that this is surely going to affect the Supreme Court that didn't ban itself 5 years ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so they're just talking about it. I was thinking there was going to be the main thing in it. But I'm trying to find... okay, here we go. So this is one of the things I'm trying to talk about, right? Trump authorizes ICE to target courthouses, schools, and churches.
Arrests in schools, healthcare facilities, and churches. It's part of President Trump's overhaul of immigration policy that also included the removal of several high-ranking officials in the Justice Department's Executive Office for Immigration Review.
I can barely hear it. Okay, let me, don't worry, guys. I'm the most professional streamer known to man. Like, to be honest, I don't know anyone more professional than me.
That office oversees immigration courts that approve or deny asylum claims. Former assistant director of the office's policy, Lauren Alder-Reed, joins me now for her first on-camera interview.
Well, I don't...
Go.
Service across the Executive Office for Immigration.
Or had a backlog.
Option of who are even those who have.
Okay. Well, she's just going to be talking about how that's bad and what's happening, right? But bottom line, right? So there's two things here that I want to talk about in particular when we're talking about this immigration stuff, right? Trump authorizing ICE to target courthouses, schools, and churches. And in fact, I have a couple teacher friends, and welcome, Manny, by the way. That certain schools, like people are just not going to school. People are not going to as much because they're fearful that they're going to get taken away or whatever, right? It's always hard to find primary sources outside of all the commentary. I know, right? Like I'm the commentary right now, motherfucker. I don't need her talking. No, it's kind of rude. So that happened, right? And then the other thing that I want to talk about is... and I don't know how much I posted in this chat, which I'm going to start doing that a lot more. But let's see here. Trump getting rid of targeting only, what is it called? criminals, right? Let's see here. Trying to find, because one of the executive orders, if someone has it, I'm trying to find the executive order that means they're no longer going to be targeting only criminals, but just anyone that's here illegally now, right? And I'm trying to find that. If anybody has that article, let me know. Why can't I find this here? I accidentally activated a week of trial of Prime. Okay. Where the fuck is it? Let me just look this up. Executive order Trump. Let me see here. Technically, they're all criminals if they're here illegally. But here, let me see. Okay, fact sheet. Oh, okay. This is from the government's website. Here, let me see. So this is the government's website. So this is one of the executive orders, right? Fact sheet. Guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion. Trump signed an executive order that suspends physical entry of aliens. We already talked about that. Has asked the federal government for protection, invading the communities, as well as the authority. Direction to immediately remove illegal immigrants here. Further restricted access. Through the exercise of the authority, Trump has further restricted access to the provisions of the immigration laws that would enable any illegal alien involved in invasion across the southern border to remain in the United States. I think it's in this, but this isn't the full language. So, this isn't the full language here. So why can't I find it? I need to find this here. Here, let me see. I think I posted it in a different Discord. Let me make sure I don't leak my, let me make sure I don't leak all my other private Discords here. Cause I want to show you guys. I gotta find this here. Though maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not here. I'm trying to find the exact language. I just posted it in your Discord. Let me see here. Requires. Okay, let's take a look at this. So this is screenshots of the order. Executive departments and agencies shall take all appropriate action to promptly revoke all memoranda, guidance, or other policies based on executive orders revoked in Section 3A of this order, and shall employ all lawful means to ensure the faithful execution of the immigration laws of the United States against all inadmissible and removable aliens. Prioritize misdemeanor criminal cases for illegal entry over the rest of the criminals' workload. Section 5, criminal enforcement priorities. Attorney General, in coordination with the Secretary of State and Secretary of Homeland Security, shall take all appropriate action to prioritize the persecution of criminal offenses related to the unauthorized entry or continued unauthorized presence here. Now Trump is planning to take the criminal prosecution into the interior. So I think a lot of this is in the weird language, you know? Just the weird languageness, because what it was is there were certain issues and stuff like that, or certain like executive order. Maybe it might have been Biden executive orders. If anyone can find specifically that, this was a good example of it from some of that language here. But pretty much Trump has been constantly talking about how during the campaign trail. I mean, I watched every single I watched every single like presidential debate, and he constantly talked about how he only cared, or his main priority, I should say, was the criminals, right? The criminals that were violent, that were murdering people, that were eating the cats and the dogs, so he got rid of an order in all of this weird language mumbo jumbo, right? And there's a reason that all of this stuff is weird language mumbo jumbo. So they're going to now be targeting, they're allowed to now target in churches and schools and healthcare places that were previously considered protected. They're also going after and threatening to take federal funding away from anyone, any state or county that is like a sanctuary city. And they're also just now going after anyone. I mean, interviews I've seen of whatever fucking Trump's border czar that he's calling himself, saying that, oh, well, if you help hide a criminal and we got to go find the criminal, then if everyone's illegal, we're going to deport everybody, right? So we kind of went, it's going to be so easy to go down certain, things here, or rabbit holes here. Executive order non-displacement of qualified workers under contracts. The revocations within this order will be the first of many in the steps of the federal government to repair our institutions and our economy. That was some of the Bernie, or not Bernie stuff here. Where, dude, I'm losing everything here. I'm losing everything. I'm losing everything. And one thing I want to talk about with immigration, because I know immigration is a hot button issue, right? I know it's a hot button issue. I know there's a lot of, conversations on it and stuff like that. One of the things that Trump always claims is that all of these people are coming to this country and they're murdering everybody, and they're all criminals. There's been evidence, there's been studies on it, that there's no evidence or studies that prove that illegal immigrants commit violent crimes at a higher rate than normal citizens. There's no proof of that, and in fact, there's a study here or there that actually proves the opposite, that illegal immigrants commit less violent crime than U.S. citizens, because, I know there could be a million reasons, but maybe it could be the fact that they just don't want to get deported. They don't want, people to find them, right? So they're less likely to do that. It's actually the opposite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's that. The one thing as well, as someone that lives in Texas, I live in Texas, right? Every house here is made with illegal labor for the most part. It's just insane. You can watch any house be built here in Texas, and they are made with, illegal immigrants, and illegal immigrant labor, right? And there's been a couple in the last couple of years. I think Florida, and I think it was Florida. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Tried to make a law that employers had to verify that their employees were citizens. All construction froze. Maybe not all, a lot, right? Because who do you think does these awful jobs that no one wants to do? Who's going to do all this hard construction labor? Who's going to go work for fucking minimum wage? Do you want to go work for minimum wage? Everybody's shitting on immigrants. Are you guys wanting to go fucking work out there? Are you wanting to go do, any of the jobs that illegal immigrants are doing and providing for our economy? That's fine and dandy. At the same time, just come legally like my parents. How Trump got rid of the app. He got rid of the app. He suspended literally above here. Let's go a little. He stopped refugee arrivals. How do they do that? Could you elaborate to me? Because I'm very curious how you're going to tell everybody just because it worked for your parents, right? That is such. And I hear that a lot. And in fact, I'm not trying to say anything. Trump did win a bunch of Hispanic voters. Trump won a bunch of Hispanic voters. And when asked why they voted for Trump, there were two major categories. And by the way, I'm going to say white people voted for Trump more than Hispanics. So I'm not just trying to shit on Hispanics, right? I'm not just trying to do that. White people did an awful fucking job. they talked about the economy and immigration. And I hear that thing so often. Well, I did it correctly. I did it correctly here. So, you know, why can't everybody else do that? It's not easy. I mean, I have one of my fiance's brother's wife is from South Korea, and they have been trying to do the legal immigration process for years. They've been scammed thousands of dollars from scam lawyers throughout the whole process. And it's just insane. It's just insane. So yeah, no shit. I would love for this whole process to be easier. I would love for the legal process to be easier, right? But when, you know, you're in fucking you know, if you're in Mexico and you're being targeted by cartels, or you're just, I mean, like, it makes sense to want to come here. Now, I agree. I want the legal process to be better, but I can promise you that Trump is not going to make that process better. I can promise you that. And so for the general conversation of what to do with all of these illegal immigrants in America that are actually proven, the other argument is, oh, they're draining all of the resources. I believe they pay more in taxes than the things they drain. Now, if we had socialized healthcare like I want, maybe they would be draining some resources, but what fucking resources are they draining? We have no fucking resources here that is of value for them to drain. So they are doing all of the jobs that nobody wants to do. They have been proven to commit violent crimes at lesser rates than real citizens, right? And also, if you have a heart, if you have any empathy whatsoever, right? Why are you okay with people getting deported to like this, right? I mean, this is literal like fascist shit, right? I mean, this is insane. All this deportation is definitely going to lower Americans' production capacity. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The argument is they come here, work for less than minimum wage, so companies prefer to hire them. The company my mom works for actively recruits foreigners, Mexicans and Islanders. Oh, Mexican Islanders. They pay housing here. They get extra vacations, but they pay taxes. Like they're paying into the system. So we like illegal immigration because it's one step away from slave labor. Sounds like problems with exploitation and human rights. I would rather them not come than be abused. I mean, I'm not saying I want them here so they can do close to slave labor. That's not what I'm saying. Now, to be fair, them, coming and doing that here and being in America 99% of the time is way better than where they came from, which is why they're doing it in the first place. Not that I'm saying that's the main reason that we should be doing that. I'm more looking at it for me, the most important thing for me is empathy, right? It's like, why would you be splitting up these families? Why would you be, talking about all these things? Why would you be going after people? Like if someone is an actual criminal, not just, breaking the law to get here. I'm talking about someone's an actual violent criminal. Fucking deport them. I don't give a fuck, right? Whatever. Sure. But we're talking about so many people that, that are parts of your community. They're teachers, they're janitors, their kids are friends with your kids, unless you're one of those weird people that only let your people talk with, white people. I don't know. Also, hey, No Scrub. I missed that 8 months ago. Welcome, No Scrub. I've only just tuned in. I've never seen you so amped up on this political stream going well, I suppose. Yeah, U.S. actually does a good job integrating immigrants, and immigrants have been vital to the economy. Even President Elon Musk has been fighting with MAGA about how important H-1B1 visas are. Yeah, Elon Musk, literally an immigrant, and stuff like that. America has always been, right, the melting pot. It's always been the melting pot. You're claiming they don't pay taxes. Okay, let's do that, because I am all about fact checking. So you're saying you don't like them here because they don't pay taxes, right? Let's look at that. Let's do some research here. Do illegal immigrants pay more in taxes than they use in social services? Let's find some actual evidence here. Let's do it here. Let's see here. Wow, first thing I fucking find In other words, for every 1 million undocumented immigrants who reside in the country, public services receive $8.9 billion in additional tax revenue. More than a third of the tax dollars paid by undocumented immigrants go towards payroll taxes dedicated to funding programs that these workers are barred from accessing. So they're paying taxes they're not even allowed to like get into. So let's go ahead and look at this. I'm down to fact check myself. If I am proven wrong, I'm totally okay to prove myself wrong, right? Key findings, okay? Undocumented immigrants paid $96.7 billion in federal, state, local, and taxes in 2022. Most of the amount, $60 billion, was paid to the federal government, while the $37 billion was paid to state and local. Undocumented immigrants paid, on average, $9,000 per person. In other words, for every 1 million undocumented immigrants, that's how we get the $8.9 billion. More than a third of tax dollars paid by undocumented immigrants are going to taxes dedicated to funding programs that they are not allowed to even access. Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance. At the state and local levels, slightly less than half of the tax payments made by undocumented immigrants are through sales and excise taxes levied on their purchases. So you can't tell me you can't tell me that they're more of a drain on the system. They're not even allowed to fucking use the system. They're not allowed to get Social Security. They're not allowed to get Medicare. They're not allowed to get unemployment. So all of these people are coming here, helping our economy, doing the jobs no one wants to do, being integrated into the melting pot of America, which that is what America is about. It has always been a melting pot, right? We came over here, we took the land from the Native Americans, and then fucking melting pot. And then, you know, like all the white people are thinking they're getting replaced. It's fucking whack. It is whack. But even then, I pay taxes. The place I work for barely pays me enough to cover rent. These people have their entire houses, bills, everything covered for me. What are you talking about? What illegal immigrant is giving a free house and having their bills paid? Could you provide some evidence there? And also, this is something I hate. This is something I hate. And this cropped up in Biden's first term, when he tried to, or not his first term, his only term. Though not that I wanted a second Biden term, but I want Bernie. This could have been Bernie's second term. But when Biden tried to do the student loan relief, all these greedy ass motherfuckers are like, well, I paid my student loans. Why are they gonna not get their student loans paid? Why are they gonna get paid? And why is the government gonna help their student? It is not like that's what they want you to think. The rich people want you to think that your problems that you have with your job, with your taxes, are because of the immigrants. They want you to blame literally everything on each other. Not, have you ever thought about, wow, fucking shit, maybe we should unionize. Maybe I should be fighting for more money. Maybe I should be voting for people that will actually try to help the lower and middle classes instead of voting for Trump, who just gave tax breaks to the billionaires, right? Like, have you ever thought that it's not about, you know, you versus other poor people, right? Or you versus people that are poorer than you. It is so easily obvious that it is you versus all of the rich motherfucking people in this goddamn fucking picture that were invited to the goddamn inauguration, right? Like you don't have to, it's such a greedy, unempathetic thing to think that, oh, well, I did everything right, or I didn't get these resources, right? I bought a house just recently. I just bought a house. If Kamala had won one of the policies that she was running on, now whether the Republicans were going to shoot this down or not, one of the things that she was going to run on, or she was running on, was first home buyer tax credits, right? Housing is expensive. You just talked about it. Well, the candidate that you're shitting on was trying to run on giving $25,000 to everybody so they could help buy their first house. Okay, so say Kamala won and I just bought my house. Am I going to sit here being like, oh, why the fuck are they giving those people money for their houses? I had to buy my house with my money. No, that's so goddamn unempathetic. It's so unempathetic. It's not funny. Like you need to go watch The Grinch. Your heart needs to get bigger. You don't need to shit on things because you had it bad. If anything, you should know that it was so awful and you were going through such a hard time. You should be trying to vote for the people that actually would do something to help you, because it is not immigrants. Immigrants are not the villains in this story. I hate to say. I really, really hate to say. It's literally, fuck you, I got mine, I had to suffer, so you have to suffer. Exactly. And the GOP is dismantling little safety nets, and we're still on the fucking immigration section. We still got a lot more to talk about here. And we're gonna go over some of the things that Trump has already done to make things worse for everybody, or everybody that's not a billionaire, right? And so I can't stand. That's like one of my least favorite, it pisses me off to no end when people just are so angry at their own place in America or their own place in the economic society, and they take the easiest bait. They take the easiest stereotypical fascism bait of, it's all these people's fault. All these poor people, all these immigrants coming in, nah, it's all their fault. It's all their fault. Like, fuck them. It's all their fault, you know? Like, I can't deal with it, you know? I didn't vote for Trump. I don't think it's me against other people. I just believe illegal immigrants are a problem here. We've actively encouraged immigration since the country was founded. A country can only do that for so long. Says who? Why? I mean, what? I don't understand. Like, says who? I'm so confused. That's the thing. Illegal immigrants lower the value of your labor. As a citizen, if I were to get a job for $1,500 a week and an illegal immigrant will do it for $500 a week, who will the employer choose? You're right, and that's capitalism. But that's already been proven wrong, because in places like Florida, right? I gotta find this because Florida. I want to show you something. Here. Let's look at this here. Let's look at this. So this was in, when was this? This was in 2023. Florida, construction and agricultural workforces diminished after new immigration law takes effect. A new law that took in effect, Florida, on July 1st in 2023, was signed by fucking DeSantis, makes it a third-degree felony for people to use a false ID to get hired for work. Any business that is found to knowingly employ these unauthorized workers could have its license revoked and face daily fines. Additionally, hospitals that accept Medicaid are now required to question a patient's immigration status. Driver's license given to undocumented immigrants in other states are invalid, and it is a third-degree felony to knowingly transport undocumented immigrants into the state. Okay, so there were about 772,000 undocumented immigrants, and you're saying you live in Florida, so you probably should know this. When that law took into an effect, multiple construction sites in Miami workers shared with the Journal that they have lost half of their crews. One man said he knew people who went to Indiana where they could make $38 an hour instead of $25 and not have to worry about running afoul on the immigration law. We fully support documentation of immigrant workforce. The new law is aggravating an already trying situation. It's kind of excessive that Florida passed a law like that. I'm trying to find the exact because I was seeing, like, literally no one was taking those jobs. So if you're claiming that, you know, they're getting all your jobs, here's a perfect example. Florida said, we're going to fucking fuck you in the ass if you employ illegal immigrants. So they stopped employing illegal immigrants, and fucking construction jobs just plummeted. There was no one, they did not have enough workers, right? Even all of the farmers and the farmer organizations in this election that were voting for Trump, when Trump started talking about how he was going to do all of this, his whole immigration mass deportation, the farmers organizations were like, well, wait. Can we take a Can we take a step back? Because like those are vital workers towards us. So you can say all you want that, oh, well, you know, maybe if they didn't have enough workers, then the prices, then they would up the things. But if for the people that side of the aisle talking about economy, right? Then the prices of houses are going to go up. So me being in Texas with all of these houses mostly being made or very heavily being made thanks to the labor of illegal immigrants, right? If they all get deported, the fucking price of houses is going to go up. So if all you care about is economy and the prices of things, if you get that away, and even if they do raise their labor prices, so they will actually get some people to come and work, they're just going to pass that cost on to the consumers. So if you don't care about empathy, if empathy isn't what you're thinking about when it comes to your choices with politics, and all you care about is the economy, just like the tariffs that we're going to talk about later in this list, that's not going to help. It's not going to help because the price of everything's going to get so much more expensive. So I don't know. Again, they don't have to be illegal. We have H-2A and H-2B visas that would give them legal working status, particularly H-2B if there wasn't enough workers, and the Fed wanted them to be illegal. Well, yeah, there's multiple processes for everything. I mean, there's multiple things. The problem is our immigration system is fucked, right? I get that, right? Biden, to be fair, right? Trump had all of these really horrific, border policies. Biden came in, removed like all of them, tried to help some of the illegal or the legal process. And then they got swarmed at the border. And I get that. So I get that it's a balancing act, right? But like, we're talking about the people that are like, so first of all, there's two different conversations, right? There's the conversation of, what should a legal immigration process be, right? With, the visas that you guys are talking about and everything. So what should that process be? How can it be improved? And then that's one part of the equation, right? And the second part of the equation is, what do we do with the people that are here, right? That are paying taxes, that we've already proven how are paying more into the government with taxes, with sales tax, with all of that stuff, than they're getting because they're not even allowed to utilize some of the few fucking services that we have here in America, right? And just from an empathy thing, right? Like, why are we kicking them out? There's no proof that they commit violent crimes more than anyone else, right? Like, so there's so many different things here, Ryan, I feel like you are missing the point. They just don't want anyone here illegally. Okay, but then we can improve the fucking process, right? Like, we can improve the legal process. But in these veins, none of what we're talking about and none of what Trump is going to do is going to help people get here legally. Anyone telling themselves that, oh, well, Trump's just doing this, so it'll decentivize people, coming here illegally, right? And then we can boost up legal immigration. That's not happening. Trump is not going to do that. You can't believe in empathy when the world is often one without. It'd be amazing to think of all the ways we could help people and other places as a country, but we have a ton of problems going on at home we need help with too. True. Like healthcare. Yeah, I agree with you. Like healthcare, like housing, like all of these things. And Trump is selling you on deporting all of these immigrants is the solution to all of your problems. And I hate to say, it is not the solution to all of your problems, right? We make enough money in America that everyone could be housed. Everyone could have health care. Everyone could be fed. So capitalism is a big part of that, is a giant ass motherfucking part of that, right? And once again, this is literally, we haven't even passed the first category. Now, to be fair, this is the biggest thing Trump ran on. And so I feel like I wanted to talk about this for a while. But deporting all of the illegal immigrants is not the solution to the problems, to any problem, really, right? Once again, there's some violent criminals. I didn't have a problem. I don't think most people had a problem with criminals, like violent criminals, not just, oh, they're a criminal because they're here illegally. Criminals that have like a violent criminal record or they're defrauding fucking the government or something, I'd fucking deport them. I don't give a fuck. Whatever, kick them out. I don't care, right? They weren't here legally and they broke the rules. Like further to something that like fucking mattered a lot, right? Sure, kick them out, right? But the solution to all of the problems that we have in America right now is not by allowing the government to go into churches, to go into schools, to go into healthcare things, and then allowing themselves to deport anyone here illegally, not just those with criminal records, right? Because once again, you want to deport people with criminal records? Fucking whatever. Now, once again, there's an argument of, oh, do they have a criminal record because they have 2 grams of weed in the back of their truck? Or did they fucking beat their wife and shoot a cop, right? I mean, there's 2 different things, you know? And so this is not the solution to everything. I think you're equating improving with making easier. To improve, it would mean to make sure those that come here are the best and the brightest. I mean, yeah, well, one way to do that is to help with the legal immigration status. And once again, that is not what Trump is doing here. That is not what Trump is doing here, right? Improving legal processes is one of the hardest things to do in a country because since a lot of people make money from paperwork being hard and long, they'll make it as hard as possible to change that. Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, right? Biden tried to do a couple things. There was that app. Biden had an app that you could use so they could be tracking everyone on these visas and they could check the legal process. So if you're saying, oh, well, the problem is that, you know, where the problem is all the illegal immigrants here. How do you think that Trump dismantling legal immigration processes helps anything? Because it just doesn't. It doesn't, you know? And also, yeah, criminals like those who got yeah, Trump, we're going to talk about that later, but Trump fucking pardoned 1,600 people, including those that tased police in the neck, you know? Like, I mean, so I don't know what we're talking about here, right? Personally, the only issue I had with immigration was the surges and the cities that were keeping the violent ones protected from ICE. I agree we need some solution there that is fair to the ones here. The CBP1 app, and it was from asylum seekers only, if I recall. But that's still part of the process, though, right? Refugees and stuff like that, and asylum seekers, that is part of it, right? That is a part of, you know, I mean, immigration and stuff like that. So, do you think that if we get rid of those legal processes, even if it was only for some, I'm not saying Biden solved the legal thing and Trump came in here and dismantled everything and Biden had everything figured out. I'm not saying that. I fucking hate the Biden administration, right? To an extent, right? I think people shit on the Biden administration a little bit too much. People are like, Biden administration didn't do anything. And in reality, either a bunch of the stuff they tried to do got shut down by Republican judges, or they're just not informed enough. The infrastructure, fucking Biden did so much for infrastructure, and infrastructure is not sexy. It's not. It is so important for culture though, right? So you can't have him like, I don't know, like, I understand this is a complicated issue and everything, but like getting rid of some of the things that were helping keep track of these people and stuff like that is not good. And I don't know why anyone could defend ICE being allowed to go into churches and schools and things like that. I live in Texas. There's a fuck ton of illegal immigrants here from Mexico, right? And I have friends that are teachers here in Texas in rougher areas, and just hearing like just the general fear people have about this stuff is so fucking sad. Right? I don't know why anyone's allowed with some of that, okay with some of that stuff, you know? And what if Trump just says we don't want more till we fix what we have because most of the US population is lazy, unwilling to work, or just ignorant sheep? Okay, could you tell me what he's doing to fix it though? Like, because he's saying he's going to fix it by deporting all the illegal immigrants. And I'm saying that's not going to fix it. So if you're going to tell me Trump is going to deport all the immigrants and then he's going to get us socialized healthcare and then he's going to get us housing credits and then he's going to help homelessness and food. Oh, fuck. Okay, well, I mean, Oh, it's a harder thing to balance, right? But okay, let's move on. Let's move on, right? Because we've been stuck on this for a while. I will finish with this though. Give the Homeland Security wide latitude to establish agreements with individual state and local law enforcement agencies to the maximum extent permitted by law. Required collection of DNA samples and fingerprints from immigration detainees. I mean, whatever. I don't know. Forbid so-called catch and release, which allows some migrants to remain in the U.S. while awaiting their immigration court proceedings in favor of detention and deportation. So, and by the way, I just want to talk about what some of this means. Right. I want to talk about what some of this means because we saw it happen in Trump's first turn, especially me being in Texas. We just have fucking camps. They're just throwing these people in cages. Right. And, whether you say, well, they shouldn't have come over or that's a good thing. It's fucking wild. It's fucking wild. Right. And I agree with what Manny said. People are lazy equals people aren't willing to go to work for significantly less than their worth. Yeah. When you're calling people lazy, in my opinion, that's you. I'm going to say this lightly, but you said the phrase, not me. You just said these people are ignorant sheep that are unwilling to work, right? I'm going to flip the script on you. I think that the super, super rich people, these motherfuckers, have convinced you that anyone that doesn't want to work for less than their worth is a sheep. They're ignorant. They're sheep. They should fucking work. They let their ass get fucked, by fucking Daddy Bezos in here. Let him, fucking ravage your asshole, and if you don't, you're a sheep, okay, so let's keep moving on. Okay. And so-called parole programs, often referred to as family reunification, that allows family members of certain citizens and permanent resident immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela to come to the U.S. while their visa applications are still pending. Kind of weird, once again, but we're just seeing every example of him making because once again, these were legal processes, right? There was a legal process called family reunification that was allowing family members of certain citizens to come here. And that's gone. That's done. Right? Like, so for those of you guys saying, well, we don't want people to come here illegally. These were the legal processes. This was how the government was tracking people coming in here. These were legal processes, right? And they're just getting dismantled, My stream message up and you repeated the ravage your asshole 5 times. Oh, people are going to backbreaking labor and getting chronic pain and injuries and not being able to afford or fix those issues. This chat is a perfect example of feelings over facts of modern day MAGA Republicans. It's all anecdotal. My coworker, my mom. Yeah, my parents came here. Why? Good. Why can't, and stuff. My opinion is, and has always been, if you can't afford to pay someone a livable wage, you shouldn't be in business. And I agree. I agree with that. It's all a smokescreen to hide the real goal. Enrage the libs with hate, cut checks for the rich, and blame it all on the immigrants. Got to have that large, scary group of people to blame. Exactly. You gotta, if these people, they got to find someone for you to blame all of your problems on, right? So are we now denying lived experiences? We're not denying them, but facts over feelings, right? Isn't that the right's whole saying? Facts over feelings. So when people are saying, well, to me, it feels like all of these immigrants are taking advantage of the systems. And we're like, oh, well, that's just not true. They pay more in taxes than they get to use. That's just not true. Just not true. Factually not true. That is when I don't give a fuck about your feelings, because your feelings are leading you to completely incorrect statements, right? So there's a valid point, right? Living experiences. I just told you about how, I have some friends that are teachers and they're talking about how their kids are scared, to go to school because Trump has now said that they're allowed to fucking send ICE to go fucking raid schools and churches, right? So there's a time and a place for lived experiences, but you can't I don't know. You can't deny the facts, right? And especially just by blaming a group of people, right? The Haitians, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets. Yeah, you know, like, you gotta look at the fucking facts. Okay, let's keep moving on. We got a long list to go, and we're not ending the stream till we finish the list. Require a review of all cases for immigrants now in the U.S. under temporary protected statuses with this stated intent of ensuring that such designations are limited in scope. At last, the minimum amount of time necessary to fulfill the textual requirement. So once again, taking a legal process and making it harder or getting rid of some of it, you know. Revert to vetting and screening standards used during Trump's first term for any person seeking a visa or immigration benefit of any kind, and apply the standard visa vetting procedures to any refugee or stateless individual, making a process harder. Repealing a Biden order requiring planning for the effects of climate change on world migration. That makes sense. Trump doesn't believe in global warming. Direct the Secretary of State and U.S. diplomats effectively to threaten sanctions against any nation seen as reluctant to accept and facilitate the return of the citizens the U.S. deports. Direct the State Department and all this stuff to review and recommend changes for vetting for visas and produce a report to the president within 60 days. The order calls for identifying countries for which vetting and screening information is so deficient as to warrant a partial or full suspension. I'm not against all of these things, right? If you want to take a look at, you know, which countries aren't helping us with this complicated process of immigration, right? Some of these are fine. I'm not someone that's just so against everything Trump's doing, you know? Yeah. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Let's see. So this is a one. Direct the Attorney General and others to deny federal money to so-called sanctuary cities the administration sees as interfering with federal immigration enforcement, with the caveat that Trump administration pursues action to the maximum extent possible under the law. This one I just find funny because obviously a big example is California, right? And the funny thing about that is if we're going to start taking federal money away, who do you think pays so much of that federal money? California pays so much into that federal money shit, and with their taxes, with how many citizens there are there, it's kind of funny, right? Pause distribution of federal money to non-government organizations supporting or providing services, either directly or indirectly, to removable or illegal immigrants. So anyone that is helping illegal aliens, not allowed to get federal money, which I don't know if that money was going to be used for something important. Cool. But we know that's not going to happen. You know, that's not going to happen. Designate cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, or specifically designated global terrorists. The order triggers the Alien Enemies Act to combat cartels and the members. Once again, I don't know too much about this. On a face value, cartels are not good. So one of the few things, maybe I feel like I would need to look more into this specifically here, because that's easier said than done. And also, does that mean we're going to start going into Canada, or not Canada, Mexico? Because Trump was asked in an interview, does that mean that like you're going to send the military to Mexico, like in Mexico? He was like, maybe. So I don't really know the consequences of that. So I can't really say much about that. One of the few things I don't hate as much, yeah. And he designated lots of groups as cartels. Cartels are among the roots of today's immigration woes. Yeah, because so many people want to come here to escape cartels, right? But yeah, once again, if he's designated certain groups that aren't actually as cartels, you were taking something that could maybe be good. And yeah, you know, the legalization of drugs will cripple the cartel too. True. You want to know how you fucking legalize marijuana? Dude, if Trump in one of these executive orders legalized fucking marijuana, you know, pay attention to the dehumanizing language they used to describe them. Illegal and aliens. Yeah. And that's definitely for sure. The New York Times had an interesting opinion on it, saying that labeling the cartels as terrorists is bad for the economy. Yeah, I don't know. Once again, I don't know too much about that. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? That's a whole point of this journey of me doing politics and political streams and political videos. I am going to be so goddamn honest with you guys. If I don't know something, if I'm not fully sure on whether I think something is good or not, I will be honest with you. And we're going to get, once I get down on the list, there is something that I slightly fake newsed on, or I got fake newsed on from the internet, and I was wrong on something. And I'm going to talk about that when we get to that. Because so many people that do political content, or people that are political in general, are just they play it like a sports team, right? They're like, I'm going to be a Republican or I'm going to be a Democrat, and that's that. There's no more. There's no more. You know, like you got to play by your team. In fact, one of my best friends, I'm going to say his name because it's not a problem with him. It's his parents. One of my best friends, Matthew, his dad, I mean, pretty much everybody that I know, all of our parents are fucking Republicans because we're in Texas, right? His dad is a like super history buff, right? He knows so much history. He knows so much history. And he's a fucking staunch Republican, right? And Trump was so bad and so fucking fascist and so awful in everything he did, especially attempting to overthrow the government, that in good faith, Matthew's dad could not vote for Trump because he would not vote for someone that could potentially help. Did he vote for a Democrat? Did he even vote for a third party? No, because his ego was too fucking high to vote against the Republican Party. He knew being a history buff, the consequences, what things mean, what the fuck it means when we have someone who bought his way into the presidency with $250 million doing Nazi salutes, not even just a picture, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw this fully here, because this isn't just a oopsie whoopsie accidentally. This is I'm gonna hail Hitler twice, fucking twice.
My heart goes out.
And he knew he couldn't vote for that. Could he put his fucking ego aside and vote against the person he thought was a fucking fascist? No, that would be too much. That would be him admitting some sort of wrong. And I just hate that. I fucking hate people playing politics like they're fucking sports teams, right? Like fucking, I shit on Biden. Biden helped fund a genocide. Now, to be fair, I knew for a fact Trump was going to double down funding that genocide, and he is already resuming 2,000-pound bombs to Israel and things like that. And so I knew, unfortunately, with that specific issue, we were stuck between a rock and a hard place because no third party's ever going to fucking win ever. It's just not going to happen, right? And yeah, so I don't know. That's that. But yeah. Oh, and he blamed his autism. Yeah. Oh, and I want to. Yeah. I want to. For people that think, by the way, that was just like him being awkward or whatever. Once again, gonna go to this fucking hellhole site. Let's look at this here. Let's go to Elon Musk, who I had to block because he was doing his posts. I want to go find this tweet he tweeted earlier today. I'd like to show you guys. I'd like to show you guys this tweet. And I don't even know what half these words mean. Don't say Hess to Nazi accusations. Some people will gobbles anything down. Stop goring your enemies. His pronouns would have been he, Himmler. Bet you did not see that coming. If I can assure you guys, if I ever accidentally hail Hitler, I will apologize for hailing Hitler and talking about how Nazis are evil and Nazis are bad. This is not what someone who isn't secretly a Nazi or someone who doesn't appreciate the Nazi support, do it. Right? Like that. And well, like, what the fuck is this? It's only a Nazi salute when Elon Musk does it. When Tim Walz does it, it's just a hand gesture. Let's look at this. Like, how the fuck do you think that's the same? How the fuck do you think that's the same? These people are just so good. These people are just so fucking dumb. It's so goddamn dumb. How do we fix it though? I agree Trump is bad. I voted for Kamala, but I don't think Kamala was a good choice either. So I understand how people would vote for Trump. Well, one, support progressives. And once again, this is where I'm saying the Democratic Party is not perfect. The Democratic Party fucking colluded against Bernie Sanders to win, right? And so I understand that it feels hopeless, and that's why a lot of people vote third party, but especially in this election, you just had to look. You had to look at who Trump was as a person, what was he going to be doing if he won? What was Project 2025? Because I would like to jump ahead a little bit here, because there were people in my Discord before the election that were claiming that Project 2025 wasn't real. Trump wasn't a part of it, right? And he didn't know what it was. And apparently 2/3 of all of executive orders that he's already done have come straight from Project 2025, right? So I know that there were people in my Discord server that just didn't believe in the Project 20. He was like, well, Trump said he doesn't know what Project 2025 is. Like that, you were so dumb. You were so dumb, right? But yeah, we could go all day talking about Musk's Nazi appealing tweets. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. Oh man, I know. Yeah, Tim. Well, I was a fucking wave. And then I'm talking to my dad today, and I love my dad. I love my dad so much. He helps me with so much. And I'm just kind of trying. I sent a couple texts in the first day or two to my family because my family was a lot of people that once again. I don't think they voted in a while, but I think my dad likes getting under my skin a little bit. And he constantly was like, well, like Trump's tax plans or whatever will help me more than whatever. And so he was just pure talking about it from an economy. And I'm trying to talk to him about all these things, the immigration, all these things. And I specifically remember my dad telling me that the immigration stuff and the deportation stuff wouldn't happen. It's just campaign trail promises. So when all this shit started rolling in, I sent a couple texts and that was it. I was just like, I just wanted to prove I wasn't crazy. Everybody said I was crazy. But when I was talking with my dad on the phone and he's helping me out with a bunch of bullshit with our old apartment stuff. And I love my dad so much. And we kind of, cause I was asking it his advice on the second channel name. Right. And we brought up, I don't know how it got brought up. Oh, but because I sent a picture of Hitler doing the Nazi salute. And my dad was like, oh, well, people are already finding pictures of Kamala doing Nazi salutes. And I'm like, but have you seen the videos? Because if you see a video of Kamala doing a Nazi salute, that she's not, right? It's so different from what Elon did there. And once again, okay, if someone slips up every now and then, sure. But when you look at Elon Musk's track record, he believes in the great replacement theory, that the white people are getting replaced by immigrants. He believes in things that Nazis believe in. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. The words that you didn't get are the last names of Nazi leaders. That makes it even worse. That makes it even fucking worse. Musk, major capitalist, Trump, capitalist president. Musk has tried moving his entire family into the mansion complex. Multiple mansions neighboring each other. He wants to go to. Yeah, can we just send him to Mars? That would be pretty nice. That would be pretty nice here. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep moving on though. Because we're almost done with the immigration section. It's only took us an hour, right? Where were we? So the sanctuary cities, pause distribution. Okay. Federal money. Okay. Cartels require within 30 days, the Attorney General, Secretary of State, and others to evaluate the adequacy of programs designated to ensure proper assimilation of lawful immigrants to the U.S. and recommend any additional measures that promote a unified American identity. What? I thought we were a melting pot, but whatever, And a political stream on my birthday. You shouldn't have. Hey, happy birthday, Angel Moon. So we just got done looking at we're right now, for those of you guys just tuning in, by the way, we're going over everything Trump has done in the first couple of days. So we just finished the immigration and the U.S. border. And that was a big section because that was like pretty much what he was dealing with. Right. Okay, so let's go ahead now and go on to international trade, business, and the economy. broadly direct all executive agencies to tailor their policies to reduce consumer prices. Trump wants a progress report from a top White House economic advisor every 30 days. That? Sure. I'd like to see him attempt to make consumer prices cheaper because he did run on that. And I want to see the price of eggs fucking skyrocket down, right? Egg prices better be so goddamn cheap, right? So once again, another thing that's pretty good. Now, this is just kind of leaning into potential conspiracy stuff. But I did see people talking about something on TikTok, theories that what Trump is going to do is he may go to some big food producers. And by food producers, I don't mean farmers. I don't mean people that are creating organic foods. I'm talking about people that are making fucking bioengineered cereal, making, you know, all of the bullshit that us Americans eat that make us fat as fuck, right? And unhealthy as fuck. And he may just give them tax breaks. And so maybe some grocery prices go down, but it's all the unhealthy things, right? It's all the, so eggs and tomatoes are going to go up still, but, you can fucking buy sugars and diabetes and all this shit for 99 cents, right? So once again, not trying to shit on everything. If Trump actually does what he's saying he's going to do, I would love to be surprised. I would love to be surprised here. But I just don't have any faith. And once we start talking about some of this other stuff, even if he gets this done, are you willing to sell out, your neighbors? What's that one saying? They came for the trans people and I didn't speak up because I wasn't trans. Then they came for the illegal immigrants and I didn't speak up because I'm not an illegal immigrant. Then they came for gay people and I didn't speak up because I'm not gay. And then they came for me and no one spoke up for me because there was nobody. There was nobody left. Nobody left. So even if this gets done, it's like, how much are you willing for other people to suffer for your grocery prices to go cheaper? And I also just quite frankly don't believe it. I don't believe that this is going to do anything productive, but I would love to be proven wrong in the future. And I will admit that I was wrong if it happens, So we're gonna talk about this here in a second. So I have to go. Appreciate the stream, your honesty, open-mindedness, willing to engage in good faith. Yeah, go play some D&D and try and do take your mind off of things. Looking forward to your second channel. Yeah, appreciate it. Diabetes for only 99 cents. That's a steal. Okay. So let's move on. So direct the Treasury and Commerce Secretaries, U.S. Trade Representative, and others to examine causes of the U.S. trade deficits, identify unfair trade practices, and make recommendations, potentially including a global supplementary tariff. And before I start talking, I'm gonna keep reading. Begin review of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, Trump's first administration rewrite of NAFTA, with an eye to renegotiation. In 2026 or sooner. Trump has said, and he continues to say it, he plans to put 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods on February 1st, but he hasn't signed anything yet. Also China, right? Increased tariffs, maybe up to 60%. And before we get on to everything else here, I'd like to say something here. Anyone that believes that these tariffs are anything other than a tax on American people know nothing about the economy and economics. Because before Trump got elected, now I'm sure we're going to constantly see it. Every economist under the sun, or 99% of economists under the sun, have agreed that if you do a tariff, especially blanket tariffs like this, that aren't for a specific purpose, all that happens is that gets passed on to the consumer. So if we do a 25% tariff on Mexico and on Canada and a 60% tariff on China, all that's going to happen is prices are going to get raised. And who pays that? The Americans, because we are the ones buying their shit. So the prices are just going to get raised, which is not how you lower consumer prices. Now, once again, I'm not just going to shit on everything that Trump does and praise everything that Biden does. One of the few, in my opinion, good things that Trump did was a tariff. It was a tariff on China in his first administration, but it was a targeted, a hyper-specific and hyper-targeted tariff towards, I believe it was like microchips and things like that. Because yes, maybe that will raise the prices for American consumers a little bit in that one specific degree, but we really, as a country, needed to boost up our microchip production, right? Especially with how the age of technology is working. And so I will give Trump credit where credit is due. Biden kept that tariff in. That tariff stayed because Biden knew it was a good thing as well. So I don't have a problem with everything Trump does. I don't even have a problem with some specific targeted tariffs. But when you put a blanket anything you send from Canada and Mexico, 25% increased in price, that just gets passed on to the consumer. That's all that ever happens, and that's all that ever will. Maybe it slightly hurts Mexico and slightly hurts Canada, but why are we doing that? They're our trade partners, right? We're supposed to be helping them, even if we're getting the short end of the stick sometime. That's what happens when you're the leader in world politics. That's what happens. That's what happens. You know, and it's just, this will not make things cheaper for people. That's just not how it works, right? That's not how it works. So this type of shit, if he does it, once again, he hasn't done it. But him talking about it has already gotten Canada talking about how they're gonna fucking tit for tat us, you know? And it's just crazy. It's crazy. In the US, approximately 60 million tons of food are wasted every year, which is nearly 40% of the entire US food supply. Economic value of this wasted food is estimated to be $473 billion. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would love for someone to try to address that, because that's not even something that I feel like the Democratic Party cares too much about, you know? And I agree with you. I agree with you. We have the resources to feed and house and give healthcare to everyone in America. We just don't, right? The microchip tariff was made to stop depending on Taiwan, which is the goal of China. So Americans have less interest in defending Taiwan from a China invasion. Now that's interesting. I didn't think about that. I do know about China, right, trying to take over Taiwan and stuff like that. So that is an interesting aspect of that I don't believe I've thought about, you know. But you know, overall, I don't know. It's probably smart for us to not be so reliant on things like that, right? So even if it was for maybe nefarious purposes, same thing. One of the few things, since we're talking about it, one of the few other things that I'll give Trump credit is the hemp bill, right? He decriminalized a lot of hemp products, which is what allowed, especially in Texas, a lot of you guys in the US are where marijuana and marijuana products are legal, not in Texas. But what that hemp bill allowed was some loopholes and all these like Delta 8s and Delta 10s and stuff like that. Do I think Trump did that out of the goodness of his heart? No, not at all. Some fucking hemp company guy probably gave him a blowy, right? Or shoved some cash up his asshole, you know? And so do I think it was like for the right purpose? Probably not, right? But like, I don't know. Overall, probably good. We don't need to be banning hemp. That was the original banning of hemp and marijuana. Partly was because of capitalism, and it was paper companies that didn't like that hemp products were going to maybe outshine them and kick them out of the market, so they lobbied the government to ban hemp, right? And then we have the war on drugs, and that could be a whole other thing. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, I know some things. And yeah, so I hope nobody trusts Republicans again. I know that won't be the case. I have hopes. Oh yeah. And I hope. And so one of the things that I'd like to talk about is if you're not registered to vote, right, you have, hopefully, I'm going to hope that we have elections and they're fair 2 and 4 years from now. I would say there's a non-zero chance we just full on balls deep fascism. But not trying to scare everybody. I just think it's a non-zero chance that, you know, I think everybody talks about how America is at the age that empires tend to fall. So it might happen, but just make sure you guys, you know, get what's it called? Registered to vote. I just call for the demolition of the two-party system. Yeah, two-party system's fucked as well. A good in-between Band-Aid fix for that is third-party voting. Sorry, not third-party voting. Not third-party voting. Don't vote third-party. I'm sorry. That was such an incorrect statement for me. Is ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting would be a lot of help in making kind of the extremes a little bit less extreme, but that is just kind of a Band-Aid fix. But okay, so let's move on. Begin establishment of an external revenue service. So we have the IRS. I guess there's going to be an external revenue service to collect tariffs, duties, and other foreign trade related revenues. Once again, this is one of the things I don't know enough about this. I haven't seen what, because for me, right, I am not a scientist. I am not a historian. I am not a million things, right? For the most part, I just play video games on the channel, right? So when scientists say global warming is real, I'm going to believe global warming is real, right? When every economist under the sun says that 25% trade tariffs across the board are bad for our economy, I'm going to believe them, right? I honestly don't know too much about what here we could let's see. Let's look into this here. Trump says he will create an external revenue service agency to collect tariff income. A new agency called the ERS to collect tariffs from other foreign nations. We'll begin charging those that make money off of us with trade. They will start paying. He compared it to the IRS. My guess is this would just continue to rise inflation and would continue to, the more that we make it hard for other countries to trade with us, at what point is the rest of the world just going to say, fuck you, and just start trading more with China and Russia, right? The more little pricks and needles we're putting into, oh, well, you can trade with us, but you have to bend over first. At what point are they just going to say, fuck you, right? Like, so I don't know. I don't really know enough about this. I would assume this isn't good for the economy. I'm not fully educated on this though, right? He's gonna need it if he wants these fucking tariffs on Canada and Mexico. So it might just be a way and a government agency for him to do what he wants to do, tariffs, for those of you guys that don't know, is charged at the importer, which is the American company. You don't collect tariffs from Mexico and China. Yeah, it's when they're bringing it in, and stuff like that. So yeah, so I theorize they're overhauling systems like voting as an excuse they're going to use to dispose of the Constitution and write a new one. I would hope not, but wouldn't put it past them. Okay, so we already talked about China. Order review of fentanyl flows into the U.S., specifically from Canada, Mexico, and China, and make recommendations, including potential tariffs and sanctions. China's agreement expected to slow flow of fentanyl use, but does not solve overdose. And this is an interesting, because it's one of those things that's really, really hard to deal with. If he can actually do something that gets less fentanyl in the U.S., probably a good thing, But I don't know, 60% tariff on everything coming in from China isn't the solution to that. It's just not. Way more fentanyl flows into Canada from the US than the other way around. Oh yeah. I think I have heard that. I have heard that. The goal is to make them crack down on drugs crossing into here. Why is it our job to police their criminals? There is also a non-zero chance he builds the basis for America entering a new golden age compared to the rest of the developed world. From my European perspective, you might underestimate the death spiral of decreasing overall well-being and loss of freedom we're in. All of our social systems are overstretched and can't provide what they promise anymore, while the costs for the social systems explode to a point where more and more of the people don't have anything left. You are blessed to live in the States. I will say, once again, and I don't know a ton about European politics and stuff like that, but I will say, because I know a little bit, is So socialized healthcare, right? We're going to skip to a topic on socialized healthcare. I would like socialized healthcare. We're one of the few developed countries in the world that doesn't have socialized healthcare. And anytime I argue with someone that is against socialized healthcare, aka most Republicans and a lot of Democrats actually, they always point to they always hope to point to, oh, well, you know, in other developed countries, you know, the waiting line, the waiting list, you know, it takes 4 months to go see a doctor. It already fucking takes forever in America, first of all, right? Even if you like have just middle class money, it already is kind of relatively hard to get proper healthcare here, especially when you're talking about our fucking insurance companies, right? God forbid something isn't isn't a condition or like something that the insurance company doesn't think they need to deal with. So 90% of the time you're going to be fighting with insurance companies, and they're going to be overcharging things. And two, from what I understand, if you have a life-threatening issue, right, something going crazy, and you need medical help immediately, that you will get help. Now, if it's something a little bit less important, I can understand there's long waits, and that sucks. But you want to know who has the longest wait for healthcare? Period. Poor people in America, because they just don't get healthcare. They can't get it, or they have the couple government systems they're on, and then they can't actually afford cancer treatment. They can't afford this. So when I talk to people and they're like, well, you know, like things might take a while. It fucking takes forever for poor people here in America. So it's just, once again, do you care about the overall well-being of everyone, or do you only care about the well-being of those well off? Because I would take things taking a little bit longer, or even in some cases for non-life-threatening emergency, more cosmetic or, you know, things like that. I would hand any day of the week take, you know, that it taking longer, but if I get cancer, I'm not going to get bankrupt, right? And all the poor people can actually like fucking get the medical care that they deserve, you know? And so there's pros and cons to everything, but it is insane that we are the only developed country that doesn't have healthcare, you know, socialized healthcare. So America's great. America's fucking great if you have money. It's absolutely great if you have money, you know? I've actually come around to the idea of socialized healthcare in the eyes of a capitalist. I'd recommend SFO's video on it. And that's the thing. I'm okay. Like, I understand capitalism, like, breeds, like it kind of helps with innovation a little bit and stuff like that. Like, and even though I hate capitalism, I understand it's the system we're in. I just wish that we could use capitalism to help ourselves. Like, if we just didn't give billionaires fucking tax breaks, maybe we could use some of that money to figure out healthcare, to figure out housing, you know, to figure out all of these things. The USA is up. Oh, sorry, US prices. Yeah, an ambulance ride costs $9,000, you know? So if the only way it would work in America is if we remove the roadblocks that many Republicans and Democrats have put in place, well, yeah, we need to fucking dismantle the entire insurance system, you know? Going to the dentist would drain my entire bank account. I haven't been able to go to a doctor in a year because I haven't accumulated enough wealth. Yeah, and that's rough. I will say, I don't know, you know, specifically what you're going through. But you know, what's it called? For dentists in particular, I'd recommend, you know, you can always try to find like dental schools, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's rough. Also, no, it doesn't. Capitalism breeds copycats and stealing of ideas to maximize profits. People are incentivized to create a thing that makes the most profit, not benefit the most lives, sometimes specifically things that will intentionally make lives worse. I mean, I'll say, I mean, you're not wrong, but I'd say it's a little bit of both. I'd say it's a little bit of both because, like, I mean, we could talk about vaccines, right? Like, why would anyone make a vaccine? Why would any private company make a vaccine if they couldn't profit off of it, right? So like they want to make a vaccine, like the COVID vaccine. They want to make a vaccine that solves the problem, at least. I mean, obviously, the pharmaceutical industry whole can of worms. That was an awful example for me to pick. I could have picked almost anything else. But I'm going to go with it. If there was no profit to get from that, right? Like that wouldn't be good. Now once again, bad example. Cause yeah, curing people is not profitable. So I get that wasn't the best example. But I do genuinely think that there are some good aspects of capitalism and there's some bad aspects of capitalism. And I think the worst of capitalism comes from shareholders and stock market, for like the stock market and like the like corporateness, right? Because you could take a look at video game companies. That's a more fun one, right? Valve, Steam, Steam is pretty cool. And part of the reason is because they don't have any shareholders they have to talk to, because when you do have shareholders, the entire only thing that matters is ever increasing profit. Ever increasing profit, whereas say you have some capitalistic companies, but they're co-ops, and all the profits are going to the workers. There's definitely good aspects of capitalism and bad aspects of capitalism, and yeah, so how are we going to standardize healthcare when the Social Security can't even keep up? Well, Social Security, that's a whole other thing. But once again, we have the money. We have the money to figure all of that out. We do. And Social Security actually maybe would be helped by standardized healthcare because so much of the costs that come from our healthcare system are from the bullshit arbitrary negotiations between insurance companies and the healthcare providers and all of the bullshit bureaucratic. If you just get rid of all that bullshit bureaucracy, you free up a lot of money. And once again, tax the goddamn billionaires. That's going to be my answer to almost anything, right? And there's one party that's going to try to do that a little bit more than others, right? And that party, Democratic Party, is still going to fuck over people that would truly, truly help. But the choice between the rock and the hard place is such an easy choice, right? We in Germany have 20% of the GDP as tax. The payments for the social stuff come on top. The whole system's breaking. We take in enough money. In fact, we take in even more, but we spend a lot faster. But I mean, so I don't know. I don't know enough about Germany politics. I would be very interested to know how that money's being spent. Right? Are you guys like the US where you're just throwing money into fucking bullshit military stuff? Probably not. I know that's a very big America thing. So I can't really speak on your part of everything. I would need to do some more research into that. But, once again, maybe the issue is how it's being run versus the system in itself, right? Like it's hard to say, oh, well, we're struggling, so the entire socialized healthcare, all this stuff just doesn't work. Well, maybe you didn't not you, but maybe Germany didn't do it correctly, right? Look at other countries that are thriving, you gotta look. So I can't speak onto that, but okay, let's keep moving on. So order the review of fentanyl flows. Direct Commerce and Trade Secretaries and the U.S. Trade Representative to consolidate multiple reviews and assessments. Trump ordered consolidated reports by April 1st. Suspend U.S. participation in the global tax deal, an international agreement intended to set a minimum corporate tax globally to prevent multinational corporations from avoiding taxation altogether. Can anyone tell me why he would do this? It couldn't be because of this, right? It couldn't. Why would he get rid of something? Why would he get rid of something that that helps corporations avoid tax? Because I have worked with a lot of rich people. I've went to a lot of giant rich real estate conferences, and I worked on those as a video production person. And I have listened to multimillionaires teach other multimillionaires to pay zero in tax. And I mean zero in tax. Literally, he brought a fucking paper whiteboard up on the stage and he walked people through how legally all these multimillionaires could pay zero in tax. So what you're going to be seeing along with the tax breaks that Trump did for the billionaires. You're going to see a lot of things that help him and these people, right? That's going to be a lot of what we're going to be seeing here. So we have suspend U.S. participation in the global tax deal. Oh, that's what we just read. Pause the ban on TikTok for 75 days. And before everybody credits Trump for saving TikTok, because I was pissed that TikTok was going to be banned, to be completely honest. I would just like to remind everyone before getting happy that Trump saved that Trump is the reason it was getting banned in the first place. It was an executive order by Trump in his first administration to ban TikTok. It was a bipartisan support, so I can't just say it was the Republicans, but Trump created a problem and then he solved the problem to try to get credit. That is textbook fascism for you. So I would like to, I'd like to bring that up here. Yeah. So bar U.S. government officials from pushing social media companies to combat misinformation and disinformation. Trump's order states that such previous efforts infringed on the constitutionally protected speech of American citizens and advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. Of course, Trump wants less things. Now, I don't know, maybe there's something to be said about the government pushing the companies to do that, but still, once again, a lot of that, I actually worked at a PR company during the pandemic, and the PR company I worked at was very far right. All of our clients were pretty far right. And one of the shows, our most popular show that I didn't run, it was a different producer that ran it because we had a whole podcast, YouTube channel kind of network. She continuously kept bringing people on that just kept saying COVID wasn't real. COVID was a Democratic hoax. Inject ivermectin into your fucking skull and you'll get immunity because COVID now is real, but ivermectin and bleach is how you solve it. So I think it's very important. I think there is a very important rule for social medias to combat misinformation and disinformation. I don't think it has anything to do with the free speech of Americans. And I'll even say this as someone on TikTok, right? When TikTok came back and stuff, people are starting to notice these weird situations of, people couldn't search up Democrat on Instagram and Facebook for like a day. Information on Luigi and on the Israel-Palestine stuff started to kind of get removed. And that was very, very weird. And I think there's two sides of the coin. I think it's kind of weird and bad for a government to try to get social medias to specifically censor everything. But then I don't know. On the other hand, I guess this is something where I guess I'm a little bit confused with myself, because also I think there's times like in health emergencies, right? I don't think it should be okay for fucking people to be, teaching people to put bleach in their eyes. But regardless of how I feel and conflicted on this, none of that has anything to do with the free speech, right? Free speech does not apply to companies. As far as I know, I think that's been tested in court. It has nothing to do with that. So I don't know why we're being talked about that, but yeah, I don't know. So, and about TikTok, he created a problem, got us paid to solve it while making himself look good. Yeah. Most countries in Europe stopped investments in infrastructure and everything future and redirected the money into welfare mostly. Basically, we do everything Bernie Sanders of America would want to do, and everything is breaking down. Your country, your choice, but the path is a dangerous one. I am going to not just take your word for it. I would need to do some more research into that and try to understand why it's working for other places and not y'all, But and I do know, Trump is trying to get now, instead of it all being sold to America, 50% of it to an American country or something like that. I don't know. I do know China no longer is blocking the sale of it or something like that. That's different. I don't know. We need clarification on whether I think Trump might have misspoke. I'm actually going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. I really don't think he's trying to say that the government is going to own 50% of TikTok. I think he's meaning that an American company should own 50% of TikTok. Now, once again, it's almost the same thing. But I don't think it was that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works, you know, and stuff like that. So, okay, so that's the all of the tariffs, all of that bullshit. So a lot of this stuff, nothing has happened. It's just about him talking about how he's going to do all of these horrendous things. Right. Yeah, some of the hashtags on TikTok are still removed. I can't find some hashtags on certain videos, like non-binary and election 2024. They'll take my words with a grain of salt, as I should probably check again. Yeah. No, when I was looking on TikTok and I was trying to search for a couple things, I didn't see any hashtags being removed, but my results were being skewed very differently than they normally would have been. And like, as an example, now when I search up things like Palestine or LA fires, I get a giant disclaimer on my screen saying like, oh, beware of misinformation. But once again, I don't want to be hypocritical because I was okay with some of that happening when it related to public safety or when it related to misinformation about the election, right, in 2020. So I don't know. It's another one of those things that it's hard for me. I don't want to come off as hypocritical. I do think there's different situations, right? I think trying to get tech companies to stop people from telling people to inject bleach into their buttholes is different than blocking the word Democrats, but whatever, you know? So, yeah. So, okay. So now we're going to go to our third category here. And this is going to be a doozy. This is a big one because we now have a climate change denier in office. So climate, energy, and the environment. So once again, Trump did this the first time, and now he's doing it the second time. He is removing us out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which committed nations to pursue policies limiting carbon emissions that cause climate change. The order blocks transfer of U.S. funds previously obligated to the International Climate Finance Plan. So we're back to now being one of the few countries that refuse to join this here. Fun stuff. And the reason he's doing that is because he's now declaring a national energy emergency. This is both a symbolic measure reflecting Trump's promise of energy expansion, but also specifically urges federal use of eminent domain and Defense Production Act, measures that allow the government to commandeer private land and resources to produce goods deemed to be a national necessity. Compel the Army Corps of Engineers to use the fullest extent possible its emergency permission provisions to speed energy projects, and urge all agencies to use similar emergency procedures that expedite or bypass permitting processes under the Endangered Species Act or other federal laws that protect wildlife. Also, we're going to be eliminating Biden policies intended to encourage electric vehicle development of purchases, part of Trump's effort to limit non-fossil fuel energy sectors. Requires all agencies within 30 days to submit to the White House Office of Management and Budget their plans to eliminate regulations and rules deemed burdensome to domestic energy production, with particular attention to oil, natural gas, coal, hydropower, biofuels, critical mineral, and nuclear energy. Repeat multiple Biden orders and memoranda regarding climate change, including guidelines for implementing climate-related provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act, an effort to assess financial risks of not combating climate change, and establishment of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. There's so much of this, by the way. Streamline more fossil fuel extraction in Alaska, with a command to rescind, revoke, revise, amend, or defer, or grant exemptions from any and all regulatory actions relevant in the state. Trump is also restoring any suspended fossil fuel leases within the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, deny a pending U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service request to create an indigenous sacred site within the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, restoring Trump's first administration rules on hunting and trapping in national preserves in Alaska, order the Interior Department to align federal rules on hunting and fishing in Alaska, with rules for state government lands, roll back other Biden-era limits or regulations on fossil fuel extraction on federal land, make the outer continental shelf ineligible for wind energy leases, another limitation on non-fossil fuel development, and re-engage a legal and regulatory battle with California state government over water routes from the Sacramento, San Juan, I can't pronounce that, Delta. Trump wants to override fish and wildlife protections to route more water, and that's a little bit more of a complicated issue. But all of this is clear, right? Trump either genuinely doesn't believe in climate change or doesn't care and just wants to frack or whatever he said. So all of this, I mean, is so easy for me to talk about, right? It is so insane. All of the scientists saying global warming is real. And not only that we are pretty much already there to the tipping point of irreversible damage. Now, I really hope that technology progresses and we can figure out something to solve this. But when we have a president that comes in and removes all of the protections that Biden did put in, and also withdrawing us from the Paris Climate Agreement and all of this stuff is really bad. There's nothing good about this. Maybe oil prices will go down a little bit. So once again, for everybody that, voted for this or is wanting this, if gas prices do in fact go down, I hope your gas prices going down was worth helping us just destroy the fucking world, right? Just absolutely obliterating our environment, and stuff like that. So my take on climate: down with coal and oil, replace it with nuclear. I have heard that. I am glad that we're looking into nuclear a little bit. It scares me a little bit, but I've heard that it does seem to be a pretty good thing, between the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, the 107th Congress invested $1.25 trillion across transportation, energy, water, resources, and are you mad at that? Are you mad that we invested in infrastructure? Once again, this is the problem. Everyone hates infrastructure, but infrastructure is so important. Infrastructure is probably one of the most important things for an economy. So I don't know what specifically you're trying to point out for that. Yeah. China is working on a Great Solar Wall, a giant field of solar panels set to be complete in 2030. It'll produce 100 gigawatts. It's 100 nuclear reactors on the energy thing. Hey, that's pretty interesting. Let's see here. Keep reading. We invested, but the money never made it. The money never made it? I'm so confused. The money never made it? I don't know, because I know for a fact a lot of it happened. A lot of the infrastructure stuff did happen. Now, if Trump's coming in and canceling or stopping some of these things, but I don't know if I'm just misreading what you're saying. They aren't going to live long enough to see the world collapse from climate change. The bulk of it is still sitting in federal coffers or unrealized tax credits on the federal balance sheet. Yeah, could you post what you're reading, or maybe it's getting fucking hot in here. It's getting hot in here. And also, even if a lot of that stuff didn't happen, and now Trump is like making sure it doesn't happen, I would say that's a bad thing, because infrastructure is really, really important. Really, really important. So this is just rough. This is just really, really rough, right? I know a lot of this is Alaska based, right? I don't have actually too much knowledge or information about specific issues with the stuff with Alaska or whatever. But overall, not good. Not good at all. To not be worrying about the environment and stuff like that, But here, let me see. Did we miss something here? Let's see. Okay, this is it. So what is this? The start of America's infrastructure decade, how macroeconomic factors may shape local strategies. Let's see. Washington has only begun to execute the work created by the previous Congress, and nowhere Is that more true than the infrastructure policy? Between the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, we invested all that money, and it's for the next 5 to 10 years. It's now the Biden administration's responsibility to get that historic amount of money out the door, yet the bulk of it sitting in federal coffers. Nor will implementation outside of Washington be easier. Leaders in state, local governments, utilities have to confront a range of challenging economic conditions to put the money to work. So big part of this, first of all, is this whole, the plan was for this to be a 5 to 10 year plan. So if I'm reading all of this and it's just saying a lot of it hasn't happened yet, I wouldn't say there's technically a problem with that. I mean, it's important to make sure it gets done and to follow through, but things like this take a lot of time. You can't just like snap your finger and in someone's thing, it all gets happened, but I am curious. Let's see here. Significant price inflation, growing cost of debt. Could limit how many projects move forward with physical construction. Communities and companies may need to right size their infrastructure. The goal of this report is to use past year of legislative activity and economic data to prepare public officials, all this stuff. With so much money available is now the most urgent priority. We recommend 3 cost-cutting strategies. No matter the infrastructure sector or asset, there's a likelihood that not all good projects can be completed by the time it expires. Leaders must reconsider priorities and, that makes sense. Prepare for different funding scenarios based on shifting economic. Even with the significant increase in federal resources, all projects will require either matching public funding, such as formula programs, private investments, or both. With economic conditions feeling volatile, practitioners should consider how different amounts of state and local dollars will impact across federal funding. Experiences in Philadelphia and Colorado, both of which adopted policies to secure the funding to make federal matches, could serve as models. I want to go to Colorado. Expand the talent pipeline. The IIJA and IRA primarily fund capital investments or operations, leaving the question of where talent comes from for infrastructure owners and operators. With 5 to 10 years of funding increases, public and private stakeholders won't complete the project pipeline if they don't also address the workforce pipeline. The IRA is an enormous commitment to address climate change, but its policies don't outweigh the IIJ's more traditional spending. After years of false starts and empty promises, the IRA's first major federal spending response to climate change. Plenty of examples. It's crucial that we assess how it compares to the IIJA. So this is just the amount of funding here. So it sounds like most of this is just pretty much saying that, hey, all of this money, we haven't even begun to start doing everything, right? It is a 5 to 10 year plan. And so that's, important, right? Obviously it's going to matter in the individual areas, right? You say we want to build a bridge somewhere, right? It's going to be a long process to see, how that happens and stuff like that. And stuff like that. Economic headwinds are driving up. And then, obviously the cost of things and labor. And if we kick out all the immigrants, I imagine all these things are going to get even more expensive here. So I'm not going to, it seems like there's a lot here. If there's anything in particular you're wanting me to read from here, let me know. But obviously this just seems like it's trying to say, okay, here's where we are now. Oh, here's a conclusion. When it comes to infrastructure, the era of big government isn't over. It's just getting started. Most of the 1.25 trillion approved is still sitting in the federal government bank account, waiting to strengthen and modernize the country's economies and communities. Even at this early stage, government and industry partners have precious little time to get their infrastructure plans in place, and achieving their goals won't be easy. Any one of the multiple challenging economic conditions could limit the number of projects that get completed. Biden's framed it as a infrastructure decade, and stuff like that. So my take on all of that, right, is this shit is complicated, and it is a whole fucking can of worms. It is a whole thing to do infrastructure. It's not sexy. It takes a lot of time, but it is very, very, very important. And so the Biden administration getting something like this passed, even if all of the projects, everything that he wants to have gotten done in a decade doesn't happen, anything was better than nothing, considering how bad our infrastructure is in some areas, and how neglected the infrastructure has been for a while. And I imagine, right, with Trump, the Trump administration getting in, I don't know if they can stop some of these things, or if they are going to stop some of these things. I don't really know how that works. I could say it's a very not good thing if Trump gets in and starts fucking with some of this shit. It's also not a good thing if certain states try to play politics and say, oh, we don't want any of that Biden money and stuff like that, you know? It was all the political lobbyism is going to steal money from the projects for the TLDR. It was that all political lobbyism is going to steal money from the projects. To be fair, where, let me see. Let me search the word for lobbying. I can't even find the word lobbying. Political. Yeah, let me know where that is in here, because I'm curious specifically how this words it here. Once again, I mean, the government is very inefficient in pretty much every aspect, right? I wouldn't be surprised if some of the money gets wasted, right? For bullshit reasons, for lobbying or whatever. It's not going to say that this is an educational article. It's not going to say that this is an educational article. Well, no, just let me know. Let me know where it says it. I'm just curious where they're saying it, right? Because I like sources. I like stuff like that. With these political streams and conversations, I'm always gonna want to look at like the facts. Obviously, this is just an educational article with them telling their things and stuff like that. But I'm curious where they're saying. I want their takes on it, because they seem like they know what they're talking about. Not that you don't know what you're talking about, but when you make statements like all the political lobbyism is going to steal, well, I guess you didn't say it's going to steal a lot of the money or whatever. But I feel like sometimes when people make statements, they super exaggerate like their point or what it means, right? Because like when you say, oh, it was all that political lobbyism was going to steal money from the projects, right? To me, that makes it seem like a lot of that money is going to like get misused, and that very well might be valid. I just want some sort of thing to look at, you know? But either way, regardless of whether lobbying, and I hate lobbying, right? Lobbying is bullshit, right? It's literally just free bribing, in the American government, right? It's bullshit. It's awful. And stuff like that. And so it makes sense, that, some of it might get, disappropriated. Does that mean I think we shouldn't have done that? No. Infrastructure is really, really important. And a lot of that was to try to, get some infrastructure for clean energy, so we don't just continue to destroy the planet. It's kind of rough, you know? Talks about the problems with energy and labor, etc. All those things were relating to everything we've talked about with Trump. Those acts are going to restrict how much of the money can be effectively used. Yeah, with the with some of the things here, which let's see, eliminates Biden's policies intended to encourage electrical vehicle developments. Because this was incentives here. Because I'm curious if the things that Trump has done is able to affect the appropriation of the funds, right? That's what I'm curious about. So it does suck. It does. So regardless, in my opinion, no matter what, it's bad, right? Because either Trump doesn't or isn't able to fuck with all of these things that, was in the infrastructure stuff and that, and, some of it gets done, but maybe not all of it. At least that was better than nothing, right? So I'm still happy that Biden did something rather than nothing. And if it is that Trump is able to cut away some of these parts, then that just further proves my point that it's not good that Trump got elected or whatever, okay. So that's the climate. I feel like there's not much to talk about with the climate, energy, and environment, because either you believe science that global warming is happening and it's almost everything here is bad, or B, you don't think global warming is real, or you think it's overblown, or you think we have more time and you're fine with these things because you want gas prices to go down. What I was saying was that all of these things Trump is doing, if if the prices of materials rise, the cost of labor rises, etc., the money that's been set aside isn't going to do as much. True. That's a very valid statement, but it's still something. It's still something, right? And in the face of in the face of everybody constantly talking about how Biden didn't do anything, Biden didn't do enough, right? Look at this. Look at this. This is a perfect example, right? And if we had got, if Kamala had won instead of Biden, guess what? Maybe some of this shit could have continued to flourish, and maybe I think some of this stuff still will, obviously. But it's a very grim situation. Yeah, I wouldn't call the situation blessed exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I know that person keeps thinking that everything going on here is blessed because they're not happy with Germany, but I would have to disagree. But yeah, that's what I meant by political lobbyism taking away from the projects. Yeah, but you know, it's still something that happens. So not much else we can talk about with this, right? We're just gonna move on here, and now. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one because this is, I know we have a lot of people that for some reason just aren't okay with trans people. So I'm going to read the whole segment and then we'll talk about it here. It gives the executive branch department and agencies 60 days to eliminate DEI programs, including all chief diversity officer jobs, equity action plans, environmental justice positions, require departments and agencies to give the White House Office of Management and Budget and Accounting of previous DEI efforts, including names of relevant DEI contractors and DEI grant recipients, terminates a 60-year-old executive order setting anti-discrimination requirements for government agencies and contractors, because we should absolutely be able to discriminate against people, right? It's not America if we can't discriminate. A separate OMB memo effectively put all federal DEI officers on immediate leave pending their elimination. Repeals several Biden-era directives on racial and ethnic equity and LGBTQ rights. These included orders intending to ensure equitable distribution of federal money based on the 2020 census, preventing government discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation, and specifically encouraging inclusion in school settings, White House educational initiatives for Native Americans, Hispanics, and Black Americans, and an order expressly allowing transgender people to serve in the military. Require the U.S. government recognize two genders only, male and female, on passports, visas, global entry cards, and other form and documents in all programs and communications, which I would just like to reference here, actually. We could actually probably find this here. This order by Trump has turned everybody female because the language in it, one order, or where is it? Where is it here? I gotta find this here. Let me look this up here. Trump order makes us all women. This is where is it here? Let's see here. I gotta because I've read the exact language here. Okay, here we go. So the order declares that there are two sexes, male and female. It rejects, go away. It rejects that people can transition from one gender to another and be considered something else. This isn't what I was looking for. Where is it that it's talking about it's being done by conception? I got to find it for you guys. I got to find part of it for you here. I gotta find it because I know it's here. I've read it. In fact, it might actually have been. Oh, here we go. Trump's order says it is intended to protect women's spaces from people who self-identify as women. It defines the sexes in an unconventional way based on the reproductive cells, large cells in females or small ones in males. And it suggests that humans have those cells at conception. Biologists say that is a problem because egg cells develop many weeks later and sperm cells are produced at puberty, not conception. At that stage, sexual differentiation has not started to take place, because everyone at conception is a female. You later in that whole process get man parts and turn, whatever. So because of the fact that it defines the sexes at conception, I mean, this is more of just a meme and an oversight and whatever. But yeah, we're all women. So how does it feel? Male genes don't kick in till 6 weeks. So yeah, when you're talking about conception, we're all women now. We're all women now. And that's really, really fun. Mandate all federal civil rights laws and labor law be interpreted and enforced with the understanding that sex is not a synonym for and does not include the concept of gender identity. Dissolving the White House Gender Policy Council and repeal Department of Education guidelines on Title 15 concerning transgender rights and various documents advising schools on how to support and protect LGBTQ persons. Forbid federal money, including grants, from being used to promote gender ideology, and direct the Attorney General and Homeland Security Secretary to ensure that males are not detained in women's prisons or housed in women's detention centers. So once again, this to me is a very easy thing to talk about because I am someone that is, this is a very inclusive space. I do not hate gay people. I do not hate trans people. I think, there's some conversations of, because I think the biggest thing, because I know that I'm preaching to the choir to a lot of people because I know most of you guys are okay with LGBTQ stuff. I know some people in particular have a problem with trans stuff because they've been brainwashed that every kid that wants to be trans just gets their dick chopped off and now they're a woman. And that's just quite frankly not how it works. Gender affirming care, which is, what it's described if someone's going through something like gender dysphoria, even as a kid, involves so much that isn't just like chopping someone's fucking genitals off. First of all, the actual number of that happening is so goddamn low that it is such an overblown situation because in reality, what it happens is, gender affirming care, especially at the lower stages, could be anything from, hey, I want to go by a different name or different pronouns. Could you just respect my choice to do that? Okay, cool. Sure. Whatever. I have so many trans friends. It's so easy. It's so easy to just respect people the way they want to be respected. I don't know. It's like the easiest fucking thing on the planet. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone has any specific points you want to argue. Otherwise I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because I do know a huge part of my community are either part of the LGBTQ plus or definitely allies like I would consider myself, but we're all trans now because Trump said we're all women. So that's interesting. Trump doesn't know basic biology. He's mixing abortion lingo with transphobia. Hi, person whose gender and most likely biological sex don't align with what my birth certificate says. Queer persons are next, and then all sex outside of marriage. They're literally coming after your blowjobs. I'm non-binary and apparently I don't exist anymore. I don't understand the hate. They just want to be themselves and be happy, but I guess that's a political issue. It really sucks. Here, a right-wing extremist who has to go to prison later this year just transitioned and goes to women's prisons now. There are problems with the whole transition topic. No one dares to talk about it. Here, a right-wing extremist who has to go to prison later. But like, why couldn't there be protections for people in prison regardless, right? If you're saying there's all these issues with things happening, like you're addressing a different fucking issue. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you just make sure that prisons are safe, right? I don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah, Viagra is gender affirming care too. And also intersex people exist, right? It's not even a transgender thing. There's people that are born like intersex, like that's just a whole thing, right? If it's saying that it takes place during puberty, then it makes sense. That would mean boys before puberty have a more feminine brain if that's you. Well, no. So I think 6 weeks, I think we were talking about the 6 weeks or whatever. That's in the womb or whatever, like at conception, people are women. And then they later grow the other parts, and stuff like that. I was not kidding at all. They already block porn in your state. Yeah. Multiple states have blocked porn and stuff like that. There'd be evidence that exposing children to these ideas before puberty could be influencing them biologically. Well, the one thing I would ask is, are you one of those people that like, well, I'm not trying to read too much into it, but it's the same thing as like, oh, well, we shouldn't teach kids that gay people exist because then they'll turn gay. Okay, well, if you don't want gay people to get shown kissing, I don't want anyone to see any hetero people kissing. No straight kissing allowed, right? Like, It's just, it's crazy to me that there's even conversations about this. It's such a culture war thing, you know, like the actual number. Like every time someone brings something up, and some of these crazier examples, right? Because I'm fine to have a nuanced conversation of maybe, you know, certain parts of gender affirming care maybe need, you know, I could be opposed, or I could be okay with, you know, maybe certain parts of gender affirming care to maybe need to be signed off by a psychologist or therapist or whatever the hell, whoever would be in charge of that, to prove that, you know, gender affirming care at the lower stages didn't, you know, work, or even if there's certain conversations to be had about what age certain things need to happen, right? I'm okay to have nuanced conversations, but that's not what's happening here. We're going to remove everything. There is no conversations to be had. We're removing it all. Everyone, it doesn't exist. Trans people don't exist. Like, there is no nuanced conversation to have here. There's no nuanced conversation to have here. You know, prison guards assault women at an extremely high rate, but astonishingly no right winger talks about that literally ever. Yeah. So if we want to talk about protecting women prisoners, can we have a conversation about that versus the hypothetical situation, or maybe the one or two or handful of cases, you know? In a low estimate, intersex or differences of sexual development is 0.5 of the population, and the high end's about 2%, and stuff like that. That's more than the percentage of people that are redheads. Yeah, apparently they just don't exist. 1.5 to 2% of our population just don't exist. They don't exist. The goal is physical control of women for reproduction purposes. Yep. Yeah. I mean, because they're also now talking about criminalizing. I mean, they've been talking about this for a while, but criminalizing, even in some cases, the death penalty to women that get abortions, you know? Yeah. In Germany, we changed the law. So you have man, woman, and divers, and you can choose whatever you want, then have all the rights attached to the chosen sex. I don't know what a diver is, because what Biden did, in the Biden administration, the Biden administration made it where on your passport or stuff like that, you could be male, you could be female, or you could put X. If you were intersex, if you were trans, if you just didn't feel comfortable with the male-female thing, there was a third option, right? And so, and I thought that was a good option, because we're not going to list the 70, you know, the Republicans are always like, oh, how many genders are there? You think there's like 90 genders? It's like, no, what was wrong with male, female, and an X, right? Like, what was wrong with that? I don't understand what was wrong with that. You know, trans rights or human rights. Absolutely. The issue is that already happens. Doctors already do everything in their power to avoid gender affirming care. People are fear mongering about 13-year-olds that walk into a doctor's office and come out with bottom surgery. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's nuanced conversations to have about this, but it's all just fear mongering. It's once again, like we were talking about earlier, you got to have a group. You got to have a group to villainize. And right now it's immigrants and trans people, and LGBTQ, you know? So once they're done with this trans stuff, you know, there's some Republicans that already want to get rid of gay marriage. Didn't Obama? It wasn't even until Obama that gay marriage was legalized, right? Like, we're so like, still all of this being so recent, and we're already trying to like walk this back, you know? It's just trying to ignore trans people and letting us suffer because we don't fit their idealistic view of how the world should be. However, we exist regardless. The amount of therapy and doctor visits that need to happen before that, in most cases. Yeah, the law hasn't reflected reality ever, but he's trying to make it reflect a very strange alternate universe. So being pro-life will kill you. So pro-life will kill you if you get an abortion. Yeah, let me look that up too. So I'm not, because like I said, I don't ever want to fake news you guys. Republicans promoting death penalty to those that get abortions. Because once again, I would love to be proven wrong. Okay. Oh, Texas. It's Texas, my favorite state. Texas Republicans open to death penalty for abortion providers. GOP convention votes on a wide range platform, including striking law protecting abortion providers being charged with murder. Texas Republicans are open to applying the death penalty to abortion providers, a new proposal from the state party indicates. And this was in 2022, by the way. Oh no, sorry. That photograph was 2022. This was in 2024, so this was last year. Over the weekend, during the Texas GOP convention, Republican delegates voted on a party platform for 2024 that proclaims abortion is not healthcare, it is homicide, and suggests striking a state law that protects abortion providers from being charged with homicide. In Texas, capital murder is punishment by the death penalty. Killing a child under the age of 15 can qualify as capital murder, the most severe form of homicide. Elsewhere in the platform, the Texas GOP calls for the legislation to abolish abortion by immediately securing the right to life and equal protection of laws to all preborn children from the moment of fertilization. So does that mean can a pregnant chick go in the HOV lane? Because if they're people, I want all fucking pregnant women to already be able to claim the fetus on taxes as a child. They should be able to go on the HOV lane, right? And yeah, so I mean, we could just go on and on, but, yeah, it's, there's, gotta love pro-life people, being okay with killing people, and we're going to get to the death penalty here in a second, because that is a whole nother section of what Trump did here. So, yeah, we're going to get to that here. We're going to get to that. And yeah, I want out of this state so fucking bad. It's not safe for me or my spouse. Yeah. That's why I want to get out of Texas. That's why I want to get out of Texas. And, divers, in Germany equals diverse, various. Basically, a polite way to say others, but from a legal perspective, it solved the whole intersex, non-binary, etc. issue, since they don't fit in the man-woman category. Note that divers is a legal status with certain additional rights. There's also a harsh punishment for misgendering and dead naming, up to 10K. Well, I like there being that extra option. That's what Biden had gotten us in his administration, even though everybody would like to shout from the rooftops that the Biden administration didn't do anything. I am curious here. We're going to go to Germany policy here. Punishment for dead naming and misgendering in Germany. I'd like to look that up here. Germany eases gender change rules. Okay. Where are okay. Now over 18 can change to male, female, or diverse. So diverse. A third gender option. 3 months on from a request, applicants will have to appear. You can also request. And then the intentional and harmful disclosure of someone's prior name or legal gender could attract a fine of up to $10,000. However, there are exemptions. For example, if it's a legal requirement due to a court proceeding or police investigations, first names will need to represent the new legal gender. 14 to 18-year-olds will need consent. Parents, no, you can't keep making changes if you get granted. The law allows for those operating spaces to still decide who has access to them. And I think this AI thing, I tried not to look at the AI thing, but in Germany, punishment for dead naming and misgendering can include a fine potentially reaching up to 10,000 euro if the act is considered intentional and harmful disclosure of someone's prior name or legal gender without their consent. However, exceptions exist. So I don't know. Maybe I think some of that's a little bit harsh, but once again, it seems like it's a case by case basis. Why would anyone be an asshole? Like why would anyone care about that if you're not an asshole? Why does anyone care if there is a fine for people? No, I don't know. Once again, I'm coming from America where we have way more freedom of speech than almost anyone. I could say, fuck you, Trump. I hope I shove these little fingers in your little butthole and go, right? I could do that. Right. And that's okay. And I know a lot of European countries don't have that. So some cases where, and so that aspect of it, is a little bit weird to me because I'm an American a little bit and kind of used to, freedom of speech. But even here in America, is there punishment for hate speech in the US? The United States does not have laws that punish hate speech. Okay, yeah. So no, yeah, you could say whatever you want to someone here in America. Now, a hate crime is different. So I don't know. I will say, I don't know why people would care about that specific thing in Germany. Unless you're someone that's trying to do that, or from the argument of free speech, but you guys don't have free speech. So it's kind of weird conversation to have, you know, and stuff like that. An important thing on abortion being murder is doctors will be apprehensive on doing abortions that are medically necessary for the life of the parent. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like here in America, in Texas, abortions are illegal, in Texas, in the state that I am at. So there are, tons of women being refused medical care because the doctors are scared they're going to get persecuted. And it is already causing immense harm here in Texas. So for everybody that cares about, you know, the life of people, there's a lot of women dying. I just fact checked what the one person said about Germany right winger, and apparently the guy most likely will not be moved regardless of legally changing their gender. Oh, you're talking about the prisoner thing. Every prisoner or soon-to-be prisoner undergoes an individual review to see if they should be relocated or not. But there's been evidence showing that if it's presented to young children, they're more likely to change their orientation. Okay, but like, I got to ask you something here. Why is it bad necessarily for people to know that there's options, right? Like, why, like there's a difference between, like, you know, if you want to find like some parents that are, they have a son and from day one, right, they're dressing that son up as a girl, and they gave it a girl name, and they're doing everything they can to try to turn their son into a girl, right? Like it's a case by case basis. Like I would probably have a problem with some things like that, right? Like where you're almost like pushing that type of stuff on other people, but just in general being exposed to the fact that there are people that are trans or there are people that are gay. Why are we trying to hide the truth, right? There were people back in the day before this whole trans stuff like was way more common that probably had some massive gender dysphoria and just there was nothing to do about it, right? And so I don't see there being an actual problem with that happening, right? And once again, I would say it's a case by case basis. And this might be a hot take because I know I have a really inclusive I have a really inclusive fan base, but there is a part of the trans community that does make me upset. And I don't know if there's an actual term for this or not, but the term I've heard is like egg crackers, because being someone that is like maybe thinking about being trans or you're having gender dysphoria sometimes can be described as being an egg. I think it's not okay. I do think I'm not the most okay with like, say someone is just, you know, I don't know. And once again, it's a case by case basis, because if it's just, you know, people being like, hey, you know, that there's, you know, resources out there for you. We know there's things like that. That's one thing. But I know, especially with content creators in particular, there's you know, it's kind of happens a couple of times where a lot of people so badly want other people to be trans or whatever that they will almost apply pressure on that person to become trans. But once again, that is a case by case basis. That's just like, that's not the generalness of what happens and stuff. So I might be in the minority of kind of not being okay with that, but that I'm a little bit weirded out with in general. But that is once again completely different from just like having books in a library or a school classroom that have gay people or have trans people and have representation, or someone providing resources to someone going through things like gender dysphoria. And just like anything, I mean, you could do the same thing with straight people. If there's, I mean, literally, that's what we did actually. What about, can we talk about fucking all of the wilderness camps that parents send their gay children to in hopes of turning them straight? Because that's the same thing. I'm equally horrified by that. So it's not just oh, trans people or gay people do this, right? Conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is one of the most fucked up things ever. And a couple states have been banning conversion therapy. Let's actually look. Which US states have banned conversion therapy? Because this, in my opinion, is just as fucked, right? Straight people trying to force gay people to be straight. And that is equally fucked, right? So it's not just a trans people and gay people doing this and that. It's you forcing anyone else to have your exact beliefs is fucked, regardless of what side you're on. And, yeah, so there's a couple states that have banned conversion therapy for minors: Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, California, Oregon. There's some states that have partially banned conversion therapy for minors. There are these fucking states, fucking Florida, fucking Florida, have for some reason have laws prohibiting local level bans on conversion therapy. Oh no, that one was just this one. So these are state is in federal judicial circuit with a preliminary injunction preventing the enforcement of conversion therapy bans. So still pretty bad. And then places like Texas, where it's allowed, right? And yeah, people can be evil no matter what. You know, it doesn't matter their identity. It can be mad no matter what. You know, Finn, though that's a little bit of a different situation. But that's a little bit of a different, but there were a lot of egg crackers. There were a lot of people being very, very, very weird to Finn, in that whole, because I've actually seen a lot of TikToks and stuff about Finn. I wouldn't go as far to say that is the reason Finn is trans, because I believe Finn is trans now. So once again, you have to be careful, because just because there's a couple bad apples in a community, right? You can't then say, oh, well, trans people, they cracked Finn. That's the reason they're trans. Like, I mean, and I don't know, I guess like someone would probably be hard to admit that. But overall, like, I don't think you could make blanket statements saying like, that's exactly what happened. But that actually is one of the things I was thinking of, was some people in Finn's community being very, very weird about that. But once again, straight people can be fucking evil and weird, and stuff like that. Yeah. Let me see. Let me just make sure what's going on. And yeah, once again, forcing your beliefs on somebody that's a good point. That is exactly what Trump is doing with some of these things, right? With some of the trans and anti-gay stuff. And so that's that. The other part of it, I know a lot of people really, really shit on, is DEI stuff in general. And the only thing I want to say on that, because it's something that I'm not 100% familiar with the ins and outs of what all of these positions that were involved with these things. I don't know a lot, but what I will say is the reason and the theory behind some things like DEI policies and stuff like that is because white people have had every advantage under the sun forever. At least here in America. When did we get rid of slavery? It's only been 150 years, something like that. Like slavery was around here in a while. When did the last state, abolish slavery? No, that was that. I'm trying to remember which one I'm thinking of. When were women allowed to vote? Because I want to specify white men. What was this? 1870? 1893. Woman who owned Oh yeah, then we had the whole property. What is the actual number? When did we get the 19th Amendment? Yeah. When did the 19th Amendment pass? 1920, right? Like, so we're still so, like, I don't know, like, white men have had every advantage under the sun, right? Here in America. And that's very different for different countries, right? Whatever. But for here in America, white men have ruled things for a while. Even when we got rid of slavery, right? We had indentured servitude. We still had, people taking advantage of those slaves that were technically now free, in order, like, oh, well, you can live here and, do work and, but I was going to pay you, but your room and board cost this much money. So you actually still owe me money and stuff like that. And, so a lot of those things are important because unfortunately, racism and sexism are just weaved into the fabric of our society. And it's just the way it is. So I honestly don't know too much about what some of these specific things are. So I can't speak on specifically on all of these, department agencies. What I can speak on is why the fuck are we getting rid of some of the, protections, saying you can't discriminate against some people, right? Like it's one thing with the DEI stuff to maybe try to push more diversity in the workplace and in the government. And obviously there's arguments for that because you have a wider range of, opinions and backgrounds and expertises and stuff like that. But I can understand maybe somewhat why some people would be like, no, I just want it to be merit-based. Last couple of years, right, we saw some of that stuff. What was it with the colleges, right? All of the colleges, there was a hole with the new Supreme Court. It was like ruled or something where the colleges couldn't, it was discrimination to be, giving white applicants less of a chance than minorities. And so some of that got repealed, right? So I can understand the arguments a little bit with merit-based. I still don't have a problem with this DEI stuff, but specifically, I don't think anyone should be okay with discrimination now being allowed, right? Because once again, it's one thing to say, hey, a certain population of your workforce needs to be X, Y, and Z. You need to have a diverse. I can understand maybe slightly some people not wanting to be forced that, right? But once again, that's a nuanced conversation to have. But that is so separate and different from being allowed to discriminate against these people, right? Like it's okay if you want to hire a white person over, a Hispanic person because you think the white person is better for the job, right? I guess I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with someone not hiring a Hispanic person of equal merit because they are Hispanic, and that happens all the time. Racism and sexism is alive and well in America. So I don't know why anyone would be happy that we're allowed to discriminate against this stuff. Right. I don't understand why anyone would be okay with that. I just really don't. But yeah. Anti-DEI policies are a vector to straight up roll back civil rights. Yeah, exactly. What is your stance on different genders having different rights/duties under the law, like only males being subject to forced conscription in times of war? Yeah, that has changed a couple of times. Let me look that up. Can both women and men be drafted in the U.S. military? Because obviously we haven't had a draft in forever. Okay, yeah, women have never been selected. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I myself am not really okay with the draft in general. So I don't really want anyone being forced to. So I would just say I'm glad for the women that aren't being forced to it. I would say that just like everything else, right? Women weren't allowed to vote until fucking kind of recently, right? In the grand scheme of things. So, hey, I mean, if the women are going to have it worse in almost every aspect right now, their reproductive rights, their rights of their autonomous body are being fucking literally under attack constantly. It is illegal to get an abortion here in Texas. So, Yeah, I mean, if the government's not going to force them to get drafted, good for them. I don't think anybody should be forced to get drafted. Yeah, I don't know the context, but I saw Manny saying same as a divorce court. You know, so there's pros and cons of everything. I don't have enough expertise to say if women should be drafted. Along with it, I think transgender people should be allowed in the military. Women should also be allowed in the military. Okay, have women always been allowed to be in the military? When were women allowed in the U.S. military? Served in the military before, but their roles were limited. So they weren't even allowed to be in the military, right? Like, which once again, for me, I think that's good. I think it's good you're not in the military. Well, it's good that they're not being forced into the military. I don't think it's good to not, if someone wants to go to the military, fucking let them, right? I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, you know. Yeah, so I don't know. It's a complicated thing. I don't know if that answers your question or whatever. DEI doesn't even mean non-merit based. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. But yeah, and that's why I said that's very complicated. I don't even fully understand. I don't even understand fully what some of that meant, you know. But that's why it's like it doesn't matter, because we're also talking about fucking getting rid of LGBTQ protections, right? And stuff like that, you know. A friend of mine visited the U.S. once from Italy. She saw a cop shoot a black woman on the back for shoplifting while she was running away. She was probably unarmed. That's crazy. Yeah, we have a lot of police brutality, especially towards the black community, and it's not okay. It's not okay, and it's not right. Yeah. But hey, don't worry. We just got a president that pardoned 1,600 people, including those that helped murder Capitol Police and tase them in the necks. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I think if anyone is drafted, then there shouldn't be discrimination. Yeah, I do know there were lessons, right? I think in our previous wars in the US, the government didn't really understand how to properly do a draft. So they would just draft people and they didn't pay attention to where they were from or something. So there ended up being entire cities and towns that just lost their entire like male population. And then they had to realize they had to kind of pick and choose from different areas. But government, military stuff, dude. People in charge of hiring are the ones who decide to hire based on merit and to decide to make their workforce more diverse. They can do both at the same time. Being against DEI over merit is just saying you think minorities aren't as good as straight white men at those jobs. Let me read this again. The people in charge of hiring are the ones who decide to hire based on merit and to decide to make their workforce more diverse. They can do both at the same time. You're right, but I mean, if we take the college stuff as an example, there was actual evidence that white people had a less likely chance to get admitted to certain colleges, even if they were at the same merit level. And once again, I maybe was okay with some of that because white people have had an advantage on everything else. But once again, I think this is all a dog whistle. I think this is all just talking points. This is all culture. I don't think the amount of actual instances and examples of this impacting things is enough to warrant the amount of hate that is allowed. Why should trans people not be allowed in the military? It's never made any sense because it's just a culture war. It's just a culture war. It really is, right? It really, really, really is. Really is. I can't get behind statements like that, Sergio. What if she wasn't just a shoplifter and the cops knew something you didn't? It was probably racism, but there could have been other circumstances. Unless that person was actively fucking holding a baby in their hands with a gun while running. No, you don't shoot unarmed people running away from you. You don't do that. That's not okay. That's not okay. It's also, I don't think it's okay for you to be questioning that. Like, because your assumption should be that it's not okay to shoot people in the back. I don't know. I think you should just not be okay with that, right? Also, I have missed so many people following Phalix and Jordan Gaming. Yeah. Are you going to act like hundreds of innocent black people were not sentenced to death? Yeah. Police brutality towards the black community is insane. It is insane. No, but you can't take everything you see. Now you're stereotyping the cop as racist. Like I said, it probably was, but there's always a chance. So unless you know, don't hate the cop. No, it has nothing to do with stereotyping the cop. It's that it's not okay to shoot unarmed people running away. That's not okay ever. It doesn't matter whether it was a white person or not. And it's also not a stereotype. Well, it would be a stereotype if you assumed every cop's racist, I guess, technically. But there is statistical evidence that the black community is mistreated at insane levels compared to the white community in policing. Right? Like there's statistical evidence to back that up. You can look at the charges. When a white person gets charged with the crime that a black person is charged with, literally statistical evidence that that black person will be charged with way harsher sentences than the white person. There's also a way higher likelihood that that black person would even get charged in the first place, whereas the white person has a way higher chance to just get let off. That's like actual statistics. That's like actual statistics. What if that person was a known spy or terrorist? They had evidence placing them as a potential threat. Unlikely, but possible. That's all I'm saying. Once again, if it's unlikely, then the general sentiment should be you are not allowed to shoot a person running away. Like I said, I gave you an out. I said if they had a baby and they had a gun, right? But you have to play Occam's razor or however you pronounce it. It's a philosophical or whatever phrase that if you don't know the answer to something, you have to assume it's the most likely, right? Or that's the most educated assumption you can make. So if we don't know whether that person was a secret spy that was about to nuke America or just someone that was shoplifting, if we don't know the answer to that question, Occam's razor or whatever says, what is the more likelihood thing? That person was just a shoplifter that was unfortunately a victim of the disproportionate policing of black Americans versus white Americans? Or is it more likely that they are a super top agent spy that was about to go kill a baby and nuke the planet? What is more likely? Obviously the fact that they were just a shoplifter and did not deserve to be shot in the back. So when you keep, it's like when you keep, like, I understand playing devil's advocate, but the problem is when we have real issues, we have real statistical evidence that black Americans are disproportionately, and minorities in general, more than white Americans at the hands of police. When we have that evidence, when people like you are trying to play devil's advocate, it just makes you feel like you're sweeping the problem under the rug, right? Why would we even talk about whether they're a spy or not? Like, sure, if someone provided a link and said, oh yeah, actually that person was about to nuke the fucking planet. Okay, go bam, 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 bam. I don't give a fuck, right? Like, whatever. But like, you got to assume the most likelihood thing. I don't know. You got to assume it, right? I don't know. The issue of police brutality is that the same crimes or suspected crimes are not treated equally. Yeah. So, yeah. They wouldn't be saying that if the shoplifter was white. And there's an interesting statistic often left out that out of the 13 out of 50 dog whistle is that, I don't know what that is that black people are also largely more often to be discharged from their accused crimes because there wasn't a crime there to begin with. Not including all the cases of planted evidence and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, taking a break from politics for a second, I see someone saying, I saw the Eidolon video. Nice to see someone at the beginning of the game. Yeah. We might have to do some more when we do some more gaming content, obviously, for sure. But okay, let's get back to it here because we still have more. What if it was a baby? What if it was a baby trying to nuke the planet? Think, TTG, think. Seriously, love this stream so much. I appreciate it. This is definitely a little bit rougher, right? This is our first ever political stream, but I've been enjoying this as well. We've almost been talking for 3 hours straight. 1350 is a white supremacist dog whistle that 13% of the population commit 50% of the crime. Oh, that thing. Well, yeah. It's way more likely that, once again, two people, same crime, way more likely the black person's getting charged and the white person's getting letting off, you know? Don't want to interrupt. Was just saying how I found you. Oh, no, no worries. No worries. No worries. It's nice to take a break from all this shit show. But okay. So that's all. Oh, dude, this is hard. See, when I'm playing games, there's downtime. I've just been talking straight for the last 3 hours. So I'll do some stretches here. And now we have federal workers in the government structure. So establishing the Department of Government Efficiency, which I believe I've learned is actually just a reskinned version. Yeah. So Trump didn't even make anything new. The digital service was created by President Barack Obama in 2014 to modernize the government's approach to technology. So they're turning that into the government of efficiency, whatever, led by Elon Musk, who spent $250 million. The man who also,
for making it happen.
has nothing wrong
Thank
with
you.
making, Nazi style salutes, and I actually saw, I want to try to see if I can find this. Elon Musk, Nazi salute, alternate camera angle. I want to show you. I saw this today and it fucking, it was hard to, man, I'm trying to find the other camera angle. There's another camera angle where you can see the crowd. You can see the crowd and there's an old guy in the crowd that after he does that, the dude hails Hitler as well, or makes a Nazi similar salute, as Elon. But I whatever. Okay, we're getting off track. So the world's richest man is now in charge with recommending cuts in federal programs and spending, even the ones that are involved in his. You know, America seems messed up for the next few years. Yeah. I often play devil's advocate because I dislike societal norms. I've never had someone present it to me that way, and you're right. It just is because I love playing devil's advocate too. And I think there's a time and a place for it because like you should be questioning things. You should be questioning things all the time. But when you're talking about such hot topics, it can feel as it's a very similar thing. We're going to go back to the trans conversation here for a second. A big talking point on the right is trans athletes in sports, right? If there's an unfair advantage, if there's not an unfair advantage, right? And in my opinion, I think there is a nuanced conversation to have there. I think there is some nuance. There's a conversation that could maybe be had there, but, and this is the massive but, the biggest but I could give is anybody that brings that up, anybody that initiates a conversation about trans athletes in sports is not speaking at it from a good place. None of those people genuinely care about the integrity of those sports. It's more just a way for them to start talking about how they hate trans people. And I'm like, this is 99% true. Like, I swear on everything. If you look at anybody that initiates a conversation on the trans athlete issue, it is always someone that just conveniently hates trans people as well, which makes it hard to have a conversation in good faith about that. Because yeah, sure, there's a nuanced conversation we could have there, but not when it's me who is okay with trans people existing and you, hypothetical person, someone that doesn't want trans people to exist and supports all of this bullshit of more discrimination shit. That's not a good faith discussion. I don't believe it would be a good conversation to have between someone that doesn't think trans people should exist at all and someone that thinks trans people should exist. There is no conversation that can be nuanced between those two people. Yeah, I don't know why I was bringing that up, you know? But like, it's 99% of the time. If someone brings that up, out of the blue, 99% of the times they're just not okay with trans people, like in general, you know? Yeah. And you know, I don't know. Advantages are determined individually. Even then, a trans person who never went through the wrong puberty will never have an advantage in the first place. Yeah. And once again, this is one of those things that I'm going to totally acknowledge my ignorance, right? I haven't looked into some of these things so much. I just know that anyone that's ever tried to talk to me about that also just conveniently hates trans people. And yeah, but, and so it's hard to have, it's hard to have that conversation. It's hard for me to do dives into the ins and outs of that when half of the people that are talking, 90% of the people that are talking about it and trying to initiate those conversations just conveniently have an ulterior motive that they hate trans people's existences, you know? On the 1350 issue, it seems more reasonable to only count violent crimes where the cops are legally forced to investigate and cannot easily drop cases. After all, dead people just randomly stand up again. On other nonviolent crimes, you can easily get away if you wear a nice suit and say, "Oh, sorry, officer, but I'm from Europe. From my perspective, it's a miracle how you can all shoot each other each day." And they're like, "Yeah, that's my right." Well, the gun thing, we got a big gun issue in America. I will say, I believe you're incorrect in saying cops are legally forced to investigate and cannot easily drop cases. Whether that's true or not, that is not the actual truth of what happens in policing. There are violent rape cases that get dropped because it's a white mayor's son. Right. There are violent murders that are dropped, or the charges are way lower because they're white. So just because the police standard says it has to be like that, police systems are almost, we need some police reform. We need some major police reform. I want every police to have a fucking body cam. Right. You know what? Like, I'm even fine if you're like, "Oh, well, that's really expensive." Okay, sure. Let's increase police funding. And that means the caveat is every police needs to have a cam that stays on. They are not allowed to turn it off. We have penalties for people that turn it off. We have penalties for people that, you know, push stuff under the rug. But unfortunately, there's no penalties for anything, you know? And so that's why, like, back when it was happening, right? I know Obama got a lot of flack when he was like, "Yeah, I don't think the defund the police conversation is great because," or that saying, right? Because I understand the importance of police. I don't want to live in a policeless state. I want to live in an area that the police have been reformed, you know? But yeah. Yes, like, why wouldn't the NFL or whatever just have various levels and people will cluster according to skill and ability regardless of gender? Yeah, and I don't know. That's the thing too. Like, there's different sports. There's different, because, you know, I can understand, like, say you're playing like football. We're talking about football. It's going to be hard probably on average for, you know, like a women's team to go up against a men's team because it's a very high impact contact sport. Is there women that could fucking toe to toe compete with the men? Absolutely. You know? So I don't know. It's a very interesting conversation to have, you know? The opinion I hold is that we can generally trust competition organizations would have a fair measure of hormone levels, and trans women are literally taking performance inhibiting drugs. Well, and also the thing is all these people, especially when you're talking about it in schools, who is policing this? Are we going to start genital searching people? You know, like what does that mean? You know? And stuff. Yeah. So, like, obviously for like online games, you know, that's different, you know, like there doesn't probably need to be as much of a distinction between men and women's teams, you know? And yeah, now the cats are going crazy here. Yeah, very, very interesting. I work with security guards. I think they're upping police pay in DFW. I hope that actually means that, you know, they do some stuff. I do know certain things in DFW are like decriminalized. Like, I know the Dallas County's decriminalized like marijuana possessions and stuff. And so there's some good stuff there, but yeah. So definitely. I think it's not defund the police. It's move the funds away, to the police, to other enforcements. Like, there's no reason why an armed person should check up to a wellness check on someone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no reason. So, but, you know, whether that's taking away funds for the police to then create a new entity, or it's increasing funds for the police maybe with the caveat that they have to actually, not be sending armed police officers to someone when they're, experiencing depression and suicidal tendencies and stuff like that, My cats are going crazy here. So, okay, let's keep moving on. Let's keep moving on here. We are already almost at 3 hours here. Okay, so freeze federal hiring. And remember, a lot of this stuff came straight from 2025, right? Project 2025. A lot of this, we knew this was going to happen. So freeze federal hiring with exceptions, notably immigration and border enforcement and U.S. military jobs, plus a generic exception to maintain essential services. Does not apply to the top presidential political appointees. Block new federal rules and regulations in all agencies where Trump's appointed agency chief is not yet on the job to approve new edicts. And I also have heard that people that are applying for government positions now, and let me look this up so I'm not faking newsing you guys, are people trying to get hired by the U.S. government being asked their thoughts on January 6th. Because I saw something that claimed that, well, this is from 2024. Loyalty tests. Let's see here. Because I've seen some claims that people trying to get jobs in the government are being asked what they think about January 6th, who they think won the election. But I actually don't know if I can find any evidence besides them saying that they were going to do that in 2024, which they've said they're going to do a lot of things. They've already done a lot of them and stuff like that. But I guess I can't actually find any specific cases on that. So I don't want to fake news you guys on that, because this is from January. This is from 2024. Oh, okay. Trump transition offices in Florida. Prospective occupants of high posts inside the Pentagon typically run through 3 or 4 interviews. Applicants report what they've been asked to overhaul the Pentagon, what technologies could make it more effective. But before they leave, some of them have been asked a final set of questions that seem designed to assess their loyalty to President Donald Trump. Asking about January 6th, 2020. What exactly happened on January 6th? Trump, not this January 26th, 4 years ago, Trump incited an insurrection, and people stormed the Capitol and killed several Capitol Police died, and they had like a fucking noose or whatever for Mike Pence. They were chanting that they were trying to kill Mike Pence for not certifying the election because Trump was pushing the big lie that there was all this voter fraud and he was the rightful winner. So he incited a violent insurrection on the Capitol on January 6th. And many of them have been charged. I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun a little bit here. Because he commuted. Where is it? He commuted literally all of the 1,500 plus people charged with crimes in the January 6th, 2021. Including those that assaulted police officers, tased their fucking necks, stole riot shields, and were bashing. Hey, let's just take a look at just January 6th footage. How about I just play some footage while I go to the bathroom here? Let's get all reminded. Let's get reminded of what happened on January 6th. Well, I run to the restroom.
Declaring it a riot.
5 to 50, be advised, Capitol Police 1 advised they're trying to breach and get to the Capitol.
We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol! We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support.
Oh, I can't even hear how loud this was. I thought it just didn't have audio. I think no audio came out of my headphones for so long. Yeah. So Trump pardoned all of those people here. This video is going to be so bad for your channel, you need to make a second one. Yeah, we are. No, I would not just upload this video to my gaming channel. We are going to be making we're going to be making our second channel, besides obviously the Neon Apes is technically our second channel. No, this is gonna get posted on our third channel for sure, you know. But yeah. So okay, so I jumped the gun a little bit. Let's try to. I mean, I know there's just so much here, but so blocking federal rules and relegations, require all federal workers to return full time to in-person work. Direct reviews from the executive branch of career senior executive service officials and effectively make it easier to fire, demote, or reassign these federal employees. Generally, the highest ranking civil service employees whose jobs historically have been protected through administration changes, because SES officials wield significant government authority, they must serve at the pleasure of the president. So I believe this is about, between some of these things, Trump is making it where it's like 40 to 50,000 government officials can now be fired by him if he wants. So if you don't do what Trump wants, you can get fired, when sometimes some of these people, you know, were considered so important, or they had been in the government for so long that normally they were immune to, you know, because otherwise, I mean, do you know how chaotic that would be if every time we get a new president, they just clean house and just get rid of like thousands and thousands of people, right? That's insane. Making it easier to fire federal workers by reinstituting an executive order from the first Trump administration, which Biden had gotten rid of. The latest Trump policy adds provisions that state federal employees and applicants are not required to personally or politically support the current president, but must faithfully implement administration policies, understanding that failure to do so is grounds for dismissal. Also requiring a federal hiring plan within 120 days to set standards for hiring federal workers. The order prioritizes recruitment of individuals passionate about the ideas of our American public and preventing the hiring of individuals based on their race, sex, or religion, while also blocking those who are unwilling to defend the Constitution or to faithfully serve in the executive branch. Which is funny he says that, considering he is trying to get rid of part of the Constitution. Right? Because normally, right, there would be people in the government that would say, hey, Trumpo, that's fucko. And, you know, like, you know, but so if you're unwilling to defend the Constitution, even though in his words, that means help him destroy parts of the Constitution, right? Yeah. So if you're not loyal to Trump, he can fire you. Well, yeah, he technically explicitly said it doesn't just mean they have to be passionate about it. They just have to be passionate about destroying parts of the Constitution, right? Like that's what some of that means. Formally nominate cabinet and sub-cabinet officers and name many acting cabinet officers of his nominees. So now for everyone that thought Trump would, which once again, I know I'm speaking to the choir, but hopefully you guys watching this and being part of this stream, I'm giving you guys like, we're like, hopefully my goal with these is one, to just get it off of my chest, right? So I don't feel inclined to talk about how we're sliding into fascism in the middle of a Peglin video, right? But also, so when you guys have conversations, and you know, with your family, with your friends, with people that are maybe a little bit more uneducated or have just been fucking, propagandized or whatever. The hope is that, you'll know some of what is actually happening here. And this is a big one. And this is, in fact, where I was fake news. I promise you guys I would correct myself on some fake news. And I will, in fact, do that. But this is still really, really bad. So Biden, once again, another thing. Everybody talks about how Biden didn't do anything. Everybody that said Biden didn't do anything is in for a rude awakening when Trump keeps ripping out everything that Biden didn't do. You don't know what you had until you lost it, right? And this is a good example of it because we repealed Biden directives, which intended to make it easier to enroll in Medicaid services, secure insurance coverage under the Affordable Care Act, and lowered prescription drug costs. The Trump action, however, does not actually repeal the Biden-era 35 monthly cap on insulin, and that is where I believe I was fake news, because I want to see, did I post this here? I posted this in some other stuff. I want to see what I actually posted. Okay, I didn't fake news you guys at least, maybe. Or did I? No, I didn't. I don't think I did. I didn't fake news you guys at all. But I'm still going to admit that I got fake news because, let me find it. Let me go in my other Discords. Let me go in my other Discords here. Because let me find it. Because I am genuinely, I want to be held accountable. And even though I didn't fake news you guys, I was fake newsed, and I want to find, because, right, it's so much more important if you can actually, because the second you start spreading false information, that's what the right is doing as well. So you seem no better than the right, you know? And so that's why I'm making a big stink of this here. Where the fuck did I share this? Did it get deleted? I don't know. I don't know where I shared this. I don't know where I shared this fake news. Maybe it was on a Snapchat group chat. I don't know. But there were a bunch of claims that one of the... oh, wait. No. I sent it to my family. Wait, let me look at it. Let me look at exactly what the tweet that I sent was. I sent a tweet. Oh, no. I just assumed. Okay. Never mind. So I didn't actually spread fake news, technically. But a lot of people assumed that because a lot of what Biden did was part of the 35 monthly cap on insulin for people in Medicare or Medicaid or whatever. Apparently that's not one of the things that was repealed yet. But Medicare's 2,000 annual out-of-pocket cap on prescription jobs, or Medicare's ability to negotiate drug pricing. The policies remain enforced by federal statutes, but he did do some directives, or he repealed some directives that was going to make it easier for people to access some of those services, secure insurance coverage, and lower prescription drug costs, right? So some of those initiatives are getting rid of, which, why would he do that? Why would Trump, like what reason does he have for, like, getting rid of lowering prescription drug costs? So whether or not people spread fake news it's important. Don't spread fake news, right? So technically it didn't affect the insulin thing, which I thought it did. But it doesn't, but it does still impact the whole thing, which is like just as bad, you know, like it's just as bad. And yeah. So, quick question. Do I live in America or somewhere else? I don't need to know the somewhere else. It will give me a perspective of what you know and what you live. No, I live in America. I would be talking about, if I lived in Germany, I'd be talking about Germany politics or something, you know? I live in Texas, which is a fucking hellscape right now. Or you might be talking to someone else. I don't know if you're talking to me or not. Most people here are in America. The sad thing is you need like 5 times as much time to check the information. And frankly, in these times, you have to check everything. Too many fakes out there. Yeah, I literally got in a debate. I got in a debate with Red from Neon Apes, because he kept the thing I hate. I think these last couple days, I have been getting so goddamn pissed off when people tried to make the false equivalencies that the Trump administration and the Democrats are just as bad and just as evil as Trump and the Republican party, right? Or whatever. And that is just so not true. It is so not true. It makes me so pissed off when people say that, because I get it. Dude, everyone in politics is fucking corrupt. Besides my boy Bernie. And a couple people. There's a couple of shining stars. I personally really like AOC as well. I think she's a shining star in shouting for what is right. I would love it if AOC was our first female president, right? So Red kept because Red doesn't vote. Red doesn't vote. He hasn't voted. I've tried to debate and argue him for so long, and he won't vote. And because his excuse is he thinks both sides are just as evil. It doesn't matter. I'm going to stick my hand in the sand and fart. Right. And I love him to death. But like, dude, he would just like, he started posting stuff about how Biden, like all these people Biden pardoned and why'd he pardon these people? And he pardoned, and he's saying, he's naming people. And I look these people up and they don't even exist. They don't even exist, the people he's telling me. And I'm like looking into it and I'm like, well, Biden like commuted or whatever, like thousands of like marijuana charges that disproportionately impacted the Black community because like we've been talking about, that is a pattern in all of American history, and all of these things. And it's just, I'm like nonstop. Like he says something or posts something and then he's like, what do y'all think about this? And I have to do so much fact checking. And then he gets mad because I'm calling him or the thing's uneducated. And it's insane. It's insane. You need a fucking, it's like, I mean, it's just someone has a fire hose and they're just shooting misinformation. And I think that's the point. Because like, you know, like how do we meaningfully fight misinformation when there is a fire hose of misinformation being shot at us, right? It is infuriating. So I eventually just had to give up with him. I deleted 11 messages in my group chat that he hadn't seen yet. No one in our group chat had seen yet. And I just deleted them all. And someone was like, wow, Holden must have been fed up. And I was like, yeah, it's just not productive. It's not productive at all. It's literally not productive at all to have conversations with you about these things. So I would like all of you guys trying to have conversations with people. The second you know someone's arguing in bad faith, like it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Why have a conversation with someone for 5 hours when they just keep spreading the same fucking bullshit over and over and over? You know, I've tried to have conversations with people about January 6th. Anyone that thinks January 6th wasn't a violent insurrection and Trump had nothing wrong to do with it, I don't know how to have a conversation with you. I can have fun with games with you, and I can, you know, if it's a really close friend, I can, you know, I don't have any close friends that don't think January 6th was an insurrection, so don't think that. But I've debated with people on our Discord server about stuff like that, and it's like you can't have that conversation, and it's not worth your time, right? Your time is better spent building a community and trying to have conversations with people that will actually think and open up their minds, just like me. Like I am totally down to prove myself wrong and be proven wrong and stuff like that, right? I'm absolutely down to be proven wrong. I would hope that I'm proven wrong sometimes, right? You know, and so it's just, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, misinformation is insane. The question was to you. I have a few people I watch who are in Canada who talk about American politics. Just wanted to know. Gotcha. Yeah, definitely fair question. And hey, Justin, welcome. Love the idea that someone who thinks my identity is valid and someone who thinks I'm mentally ill and should go through torture are equal. But what about you guys' trans friends? Wouldn't they matter to him? Well, and that's what I keep talking about. I literally try to bring that up in the conversations with Red, and he's trying to compare both evils as the same, right? As the same. I'm like, maybe that's true if you hate the environment, if you hate LGBTQ people, if you hate science, right? If you hate like if you hate all of those things, maybe they're the same evil. I do know a lot of people that, and I have no problems with religion in general. I have a really big problem with religion when it gets you to start hating on people. Like I fucking living in Texas, dude. So many of my friends' parents, I'm not going to name names on this one, but one of my really close friends, that you guys know, his parents are so Christian and religious that they think anyone that's gay or anything like that is burning in hell. They think they're corrupting the youth. They think they're demons in disguise, right? So when you're that, I'm going to say it, brainwashed, right? how do you have a conversation with those people either? You know, you can't. Factcheck.org. On January 6th, 10 people died. 2 Trump supporters, 2, heart attack 1, drug overdose 1 shot by police. And on the other police sides, a bunch of them had heart attacks and suicided. Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to, I don't know if you're trying to like dispute something I'm saying. But yeah, there were 2 Trump supporters that died there too, yeah. And several people that killed themselves after, yeah, as well. At some point, you just need to let life hit them in the face enough to save your own sanity. On my door, it says to tell people you care about them because it could mean a lot. I still don't know how Trump was able to push back the trials for 4 years. Now, that is a Democrat's fault. That is a Democrat's fault because I believe, if I remember this story correctly, and once again, even though I'm a Democrat supporter, I will tell you straight to y'all's faces when the Democrats fuck shit up. And the Democrats fuck that shit up so goddamn hard. And someone correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they wanted to appear to the American people that it wasn't just like their government and the Democrats going after Trump, and it wasn't just unjust persecution, right? So they got Merrick Garland in or whatever, and he just didn't do a good enough job. He took way too long. All of this shit took way too long. Why did all of these things take way too long? Because they wanted to appear like that's what the Democrats' problem always is, right? Democrats always think that they need to play by the rules. And I suppose that is a relatively decent thing to want to do. Democrats, we want to play by the rules. Well, then the Republicans come in and do not play by the rules at fucking all. Trump tried to and incited a fucking insurrection and tried to take power. They were trying to fucking hang Mike Pence because he wouldn't certify the elections. Trump was calling up the different states and asking them if they could just find a couple votes. Hey, could you just find a couple votes for me? That is not playing by the rules. So then the Democrats come back in. They're like, we must play by the rules. We must let the American people know that we are the just party and we play by the rules. And it's like, I agree with that most of the time, but when you're talking about someone like Trump, you can't let that happen. And in fact, go into world politics for a little bit. If we're going to talk about Brazil had their own January 6th. Brazil, literally, the government, the far right member here, let me look this up. Brazil January 6th I'm my spelling here. Brazil had their own January 6th. Oh wow, dude. Yeah, look at had their own January 6th, literally side by side. Had their own January 6th. And you want to know what the fucking Brazil did? Brazil, who was it? They updates on Brazil's, I believe they charged the ever living fucking shit out of, what is his name? Anyone know? Baltazár, who had strong ties with Trump. Mr. Baltazár charges. What happened to him? They recommended charges. Facing charges of attempting a coup. So I don't know if he's been charged yet. So hopefully it's not as bad as that. So I guess I don't know if I can say that they treated him better than we did, but it sure seemed like that. I don't know if they're getting charged or whatever. He's barred from running from office until 2030. Ruling that he had violated the law when he summoned diplomats to the presidential palace, made baseless claims that the nation's voting systems were likely rigged against him. So I don't know. I guess I can't fully say that they like fully charged him, but like they took it more seriously. And so that is the problem of the Democrats. I have to, but once again, it's like, why do we have to blame that on the Democrats? Why can't we just say overall, well, no, it's Trump's fault for inciting an insurrection? Why do we have to say, well, I guess it was the Democrats' fault for not taking it seriously, which is still valid, but I don't know why people can't take a look at what Trump in particularly did, Like it's just fucking crazy to me. It's crazy to me. On the persecutions, you're wrong. The Jack Smith Volume 1 report laid out a timeline. Garland was issuing subpoenas for representatives' phones within his first week. But why did the whole thing take so long though? Like what? I don't understand. I guess I need to look into this more. I know that they were starting things, but just because they're starting for subpoenas, and they did charge other people. So they did charge other people connected with it. But the big thing there is Trump, right? Trump was going to run again. And like, so yeah, you can start this process. You can start subpoenaing. You can start persecuting some of the other people. Why was Trump allowed to do all of this stuff? You know, if you never fight against fascism, you allow them to prosper. That's on a personal level, but especially the issue with Democrats. Yeah. It just so happens these targets were able to fight it with speech and debate immunity, claimed presidential immunity, dodged subpoenas, ignored the process. Our judicial system's just not equipped to persecute people with tons of money and resources to run out of the clock. You're probably right. I would say that if we had gotten someone that would have been a little bit more tooth and nail, you know. Oh, also, I totally missed it, Justin. Thanks for the 11 months prime. I'm not sure if you're cut out to be a political streamer. Do you use a dead rat as an alarm clock? Who uses a dead rat as an alarm clock? Is that a dig at like... My first guess would have been like Hassan or like fucking... Well, the dead rat just makes me think of that fucking degenerate WoW streamer, Asmongold. I don't know. Yeah, Asmongold. That was who I was thinking of. There's more context to the Merrick Garland thing that doesn't really change anything that happened, but makes the situation more frustrating. Mitch McConnell said he would block whatever Supreme Court justice Obama proposed unless they were a moderate Republican like Merrick Garland. Obama called his bluff and nominated him, and McConnell did his hypocrite thing, so Garland got snubbed for the Supreme Court. Ever since then, the Dems were like, we owe Merrick Garland. So despite him being more Republican than Democrat, Biden made him AG, and then of course he didn't move quickly against his own party. Garland just stalled on appointing Jack Smith as special counsel. Yeah, so once again, something I'm not fully, on. I just kind of know a little bit. I know we could have done more. I know, and it is good to know some of that context for sure, right? So, man, your the president definitely cares about us as individuals when we're getting rid of things that lower prescription drug costs, right? That's definitely someone looking out for our best interests. Repealed multiple Biden orders and directives on COVID-19. I mean, I don't know specifically the details on this. It's a little bit of one, Trump literally fucked the fucking COVID response to begin with. The whole time he was saying it was a Democratic hoax and it was all fake. And then, I like that whole issue, COVID did not need to be a political issue. Trump made it a political issue. So it has been a long time. We're 5 years since the pandemic. COVID's still here, right? But I mean, I guess some of them might not need to be there anymore, but once again, this doesn't tell the whole story. And this is a big one. Yeah, Trump got COVID. Yeah. We have now withdrawn from the World Health Organization and directed the White House Office and Management and Budget to stop transfer of U.S. money to the World Health Organization and order the Secretary of State to end negotiations on the World Health Organization pandemic agreement. And order the Secretary of State and OMB Director to identify credible and transparent United States and international partners to replace the U.S. Relationship with WHO. So just once again, one of many things Trump does that is extremely anti-science. I'm actually curious on what Trump is saying, his reasoning for this. I guess he tried to do it the first time, or maybe... Oh, did he do? I knew we got out of the Paris Agreement the second time. Did he do this the first time too? Experts have cautioned withdrawing from the organization could weaken the world's defenses against new outbreaks capable of triggering pandemics. During first Oval Office appearance in his second term, cited an order detailing. He asked what the thing. I saw this video. He asked what it was, and then he was like, when they were like, "Oh, it's the thing for us to get out of the World Health Organization." He was like, "Ooh." Woo! He was all helpy. Things. Okay, I forgot he got us out of it the first time. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Also, thank you, That One Painting, for following. Really, really appreciate it. We pulled out a WHO, but it was barely a thing, and we rejoined immediately under Biden. His moves call for pausing future transfer of our funds to the World Health, who calls on officials to identify credible and transparent U.S. international partners to assume necessity activities participatively undertaken by WHO. In 2020, several months after WHO declared COVID-19 a pandemic and cases surging, he notified that the U.S. was planning to pull out. And then Joe Biden reversed the decision his first day in office. It's just not good. It's not good, especially with, I'm not trying to raise too many alarms, but we have potential things with the bird flu or whatever. And, Trump did a really good job at handling COVID the first time, right? Because getting out of the World Health Organization and saying everything was a Democratic hoax, that was the best way to handle that. So I'm glad we have a competent president who's going to be able to, let us drink raw milk again. Let's go. But fun times. Way to get us to bring another pandemic. Anyone else nervous about the spreading of bird flu? Yeah. Fun. Egg prices will go down any day now. Exactly. So, okay, we're nearing the end of just the first days. I feel like he's done some things today that we'll look at here. Foreign policy, national security, and America first. Canceled Biden. Oh yeah. Okay. So for everybody, this is my favorite part here. Not my favorite part. I probably shouldn't be talking about when we're talking about serious issues like this. But this is the other thing that pisses me off. There were so many people that would normally, what was I going to say? There are so many people that might normally vote Democrat, and protests didn't vote for the Democrat candidate because of the Biden administration helping fund a genocide. And that is totally valid. Right? That, you wouldn't want to support funding the genocide. The problem with that is the opposition to Kamala, Trump, was known to be a butt buddy with Bibi, Netanyahu, or whatever the fuck his name is. And it was known that he was going to take an even harsher stance on Palestine than even our own fucking current administration. And we're already seeing it because he canceled Biden-era sanctions on far-right Israeli groups and individuals accused of violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. Biden's order had frozen U.S. assets and barred Americans from dealing with Israelis covered by his order. That's gone. Also, I don't think it says it here, but Trump has resumed the pause that Biden had put on 2,000-pound bombs. So Trump has said you're allowed to continue sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel. Direct Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued guidance to put all State Department politics, programs, and personnel and operations in line with American First policy, which puts America and interests firsts, which means we're gonna help Israel with the genocide a lot harder. Redesignate Yemen Houthis as a terrorist organization. And Biden reversed this. I don't know enough. I know zero about that. I can't even talk on that. I'm so uneducated on that. Define the membership and establish operating procedures for the National Security Council. Pause all U.S. foreign development aid pending reviews of efficiencies and consistencies, for 90 days. So all foreign aid, I believe, has been paused, which sucks for Ukraine, stuff like that. Immediately grant 6-month security clearances to certain administration officials whose background checks are pending, which means that a bunch of people are going to get security clearances even though they might not have been pended for it. And repealed Biden's executive order on AI that aimed to set guardrails on the development of AI. Because why would we need that? Why would we need guardrails for AI? I don't know. Why would we need that? Couldn't be. I don't know. The Chinese have massive influence in the World Health Organization, though, and managed to postpone the World Health response to COVID. Withdrawing is wrong, but reforms are needed. I do, however, think that you can't reform anything you aren't a member of, but I think that's not in Trump's interest anyways. And I don't know enough about those claims that you're talking about. I do know that, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to what you're saying, but exactly like you said, pulling out of it is not how you do that, right? Now, if you want to threaten, if Trump wants to say, hey, we're going to pay 50% of the money. We're not going to pay 100% of the money. We're going to pay 50% of the money until you do X, Y, Z, right? Like, that's how you negotiate. This isn't negotiation, you know? Because also, I don't think this is going to be in it. But I guess we'll talk about it later, or I'll look up for it. But Trump has, here, let me just look this up. Trump pauses scientific stuff. I bet it'll pop up. Trump administration freezes many health agency reports and online posts. Administrations put a freeze on many federal health agency communications. There's been immediate pause on that, though this is, oh yeah, like the reports too. An immediate pause, among other things, regulations, guidance, announcements, press releases, social media posts, and website posts until the communication has been approved by a political appointee. The pause also applies to anything intended to be published in the Federal Registrar. The pause is in effect. Agencies subject to the HHS directive include the CDC, National Institute of Health and Food and Drug Administration, entities that fight epidemics, protect the nation's food supply, and searches to cure disease. And it's not unusual for incoming administration to pause agencies, but typically officials working on the presidential transition team have the process for issuing documents running smoothly by Inauguration Day. Yeah, just not good. Not good, because the only concern would be if this is a prelude to going back to a prior approach of silencing the agencies around a political narrative, which what could happen, because during his first term, Trump's political appointees tried to gain control over the CDC's MMWR journal, which had published information about the COVID-19 pandemic that conflicted with messaging from the White House. Because you want to know what the White House was saying during Trump's administration in COVID? It's all a Democratic hoax. It's all a Democratic hoax, right? So yeah, it's fucking scary when he's pausing all this shit, which even if some of it is maybe normal for normalcy stuff, knowing who Trump is, him pausing any fucking scientific shit unless they approve it is fucking scary. It's fucking scary, you know? And it's just not good. Not good. Not good. Houthis are Iran-sponsored religious extremists, to my knowledge. Yeah, I don't know much about it. Population collapsed according to social media. Population collapsed according to the social media Nazis. So everyone is selling their eggs. Only president to ever get impeached twice. Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't know if you talked about this earlier in the stream. Didn't Trump say he wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? Yeah, it's just, there's two things I have to say about shit like that. Same thing with him wanting to go after the Panama Canal, go after Greenland, all of his jokes about turning Canada into the 51st state. There's two parts of that, I think. I think one is Trump wants to rewrite his legacy, right? And just like every other fucking dictator or fascist or whatever, he just wants to get his name in the history book for, oh, I got us Canada. I got us the Panama Canal. I got us this, right? And he's kind of, so it's either he's wanting to rewrite that, or it's the strategy of, oh, did you hear Trump, wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? And then you don't talk about all of this shit. You don't talk about all this shit because everybody's joking all around about, the Gulf of America, Gulf of whatever, right? And so it serves two purposes. It makes people not talk about the actual real evil shit that's going on. And also I think he's trying to help rewrite his legacy, for real. For real. Yeah, exactly what Justin said. That executive order is really a nothing burger meant to distract. Yeah, exactly. I love when the leader of a country tries to make lies facts. Yeah, it's insane. Sounds like Japan slowly taking over islands and Hokkaido and eventually China. Yeah, it's just crazy. So as an EU citizen, I can relocate to Greenland, get annexed, and get American citizenship. When you can, repost this article you're looking at. Yeah. I'll throw this article here. Let's see here. So if anyone wants to, read this here. And yeah, so, okay, let's see what else we got for us here. Nationalism. Restore the name of Mount McKinley in Alaska. The change for the North America's tallest peak recognizes William McKinley, the 25th president, whom Trump praised for economic leadership and expanding U.S. territory through the Spanish-American War. President Barack Obama in 2015 renamed the mountain Denali, which native tribes called it historically. Trump's order did not change the name of the surrounding Denali National Park and Reserve. So once again, a nothing burger. That's just bullshit. Required Trump's personal improvement of new architectural and design standards for federal buildings so the president can ensure federal structures respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage in order to uplift and beautify public spaces. This is a fun one. Order that U.S. flags always be flown at full staff on Inauguration Day. The immediate effect was to countermand Biden's traditional 30-day order of lowering flags as a mourning tribute to President Jimmy Carter, who died on the 29th. Trump's order returned flags on federal installations to half staff on 21st. Okay. That makes it a little bit. That was one I know people were shitting on him for. If it truly was just saying, hey, raise it on the day of inauguration and then we can, I didn't know that it still returned the flags back to half staff on January 21st. So that's another nothing burger that I think is not worth people discussing. Yeah. Did you know Trump wants to rename Gulf of Mexico? No, I only know he was held civilly liable for sexual assaulting a woman. Imagine having to pay for healthcare. Yeah. Who the fuck asked for expanding U.S. territory? People don't care about that shit anymore. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, and then this is one, and this is something I don't think I personally have talked about a lot on my channel. But my stance, is, the death penalty. Not good. That's I don't believe in capital punishment. Now, I think if there was some terrorist and then they fucking broke out of prison and I don't know. I guess there's up for conversations of certain things. If there's an actual threat of them coming out and causing a lot of harm, but in 99.9999% of cases, I don't believe in the death penalty. And I especially, as a kid, right, growing up, I grew up Republican. My parents, super Republican, not as much as other of my friends' parents that, I've talked about have, religious brainwashing and stuff like that. I always thought it was cheaper to kill someone than to put them in prison for life. And that's not true. It is cheaper to keep a prisoner in prison for life than to go through the entire process of the death penalty. One, because you need to hopefully make sure that they actually are the person that did the crime. And you can't, say 50 years later, you realize someone didn't commit a crime that you thought they committed. Well, if they're in prison, you can just let them out, give them $1 million, say oopsie doopsie, and that's it. If you kill the fucking person, there is no redoing that, right? And so maybe the argument is, I know some states, because of how hard getting lethal injections have been, some states have actually just continued or brought back the firing range. And I suppose maybe a firing range is maybe cheaper than life in prison, but still, once again, I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's right for our government to be killing people. And I think it's just as easy to throw them in prison. We love our prisons. We have private prisons. Why don't we use them? We do use them. We use them a lot. That's a whole conversation. And we shouldn't have private prisons. But for a country that loves our prisons so much, I don't think there's any argument for lethal injection. Death penalty costs more than housing the person in prison for life. Yeah. I listened to too many true crime podcasts that I can understand why someone might be pro death penalty. The cost for death penalty doesn't come from the execution itself. It comes from all of the legal proceedings and stuff like that. Death penalty is also very traumatic for both the victim's family and the culprit's family. I'm not 100% against the death penalty. I have a couple cases where it makes sense, but most cases of death row are for non-serious crimes. Yeah. So once again, and so one thing that Biden did with all of his pardons and commutations was a lot of what he did was, even for people that were pretty bad criminals, he took them off death row and just and put their sentence to life in prison without parole. right? Because he does not believe in capital punishment. Now, he still kept a couple people off capital punishment, or on capital punishment, sorry, for some really big terrorists, some school shooters, right? There were a couple people he left on death row, right? So that is, some of you guys saying, and myself including, saying maybe there's some cases that it's maybe fair, even though probably not. Biden, left some of those. So, but Trump directed the Attorney General to explore whether 37 federal prisoners who had death sentences commuted to life imprisonment by Biden can be charged and tried with capital crimes in state courts. Direct the Attorney General to take all necessary and lawful action to supply states with adequate drugs to carry out the lethal injection. Directed the Attorney General to seek reversal of the U.S. Supreme Court precedent that limits the application of the death penalty in state and federal jurisdictions. And in a symbolic gesture, directed the Attorney General to encourage state attorney general and district attorneys to pursue the death penalty in all possible cases. Why? Why would he do that? I don't know. It's just insane. It's insane. Insane. Problem with death penalty boils down to, what if new evidence comes up and proves the convict was innocent? Can't undead someone. Exactly. Lethal injection is also horribly inhumane. Often one of the 3 chemicals they use fails. From people that have survived it, they say it feels like your blood is boiling and you can't scream or move because they have a paralyzer. And maybe we should bring back the guillotine. Well, you are along the lines of thinking with some other Republican leaders who have brought back the firing range. Here, I'll look this up so I don't fake news you guys. Which state brought back the firing range? Oh, this was 2 days ago. Idaho moves to bring back firing squads for executions. Idaho lawmakers have introduced a bill. Well, maybe it didn't happen. Wait. See, this is why I look shit up. Wait, execution by firing squad. Let's look at U.S. I want U.S. United States. Because I don't want to fake news you guys. So obviously we had firing squads, for a while. 1960. Since 1960, there's been 4. 2019. So reluctant by drug companies to see their drugs used to kill people has led to a shortage. No shit. 2015, Utah enacted legislation. Oh, so they did. No, I didn't fake news you guys. Utah enacted legislation allowing for execution by firing squad if the drugs weren't available. Several other states explored return of firing squad. Thus, after warning in both use and popularity in recent decades, as of 2022, firing squad execution appears to at least be anecdotally regaining popularity. In 2019, South Carolina's Senate voted 26-13 in favor of the revised proposal to bring back the electric chair and add firing squads to its execution options. On 2021, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster signed a bill into law which brought back the electric chair as the default method of execution in the event lethal injection was unavailable. And it added firing squad to listed of exemption options. South Carolina has not performed executions in over a decade, and its lethal injection drugs expired in 2013, and the pharmaceutical companies refused to sell it. On 2022, South Carolina scheduled the execution of Richard Bernard Moore on 2022, and he chose to be executed by firing squad. However, this execution was later stayed by the Supreme Court, and he was executed by lethal injection. In 2024, Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah used the firing squad for the death penalty. And in 2023, Tennessee legislature debated about using firing squad. And on 2023, Idaho passed it, and it was signed by the governor. So yeah. The guillotine is for the rich, not for the criminals. Do you know why they do it as a firing squad instead of just having one guy execute them? This was one of my favorite surgeon preceptor's favorite jokes. He said that whenever people were tying sutures, so if the wound fell apart, no one would know who tied the bad knot. Oh my gosh. Man, yeah. Because licensed industries like pharmaceuticals refuse to make lethal injection drugs because they have random ass companies develop the chemicals under the radar. Yeah, and hopefully we're wrapping up here because my voice is going out. My voice is going out for real. I've just been like yelling for 4 hours. So, you know, go death penalty, I guess, you know, very pro-life of him. And then once again, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit talking about this. Full pardons to literally everyone in January 6th, including those that were violently doing it. Ordered the Attorney General and others to review all agency investigative and enforcement actions during the Biden's tenure to identify what Trump describes as the weaponization of the federal government against his supporters. The directive identifies the Justice Department, Federal Trade Commission, and Securities Exchange Commission, and the intelligence community. It requires a report to the president on the findings with recommended remedial actions. I know, I need to drink some water, dude. My throat is... I need some more water here. If we do more political streams like this in the future, I'm gonna have to figure this out because I'm literally losing my voice. I don't know if I'm gonna have my voice for tomorrow's normal gaming stream. Directed the Attorney General to investigate U.S. government dealings with social media platforms during Biden's tenure, make recommendations for appropriate remedial actions in response to what Trump frames as censorship efforts, revoked the security clearances of 50 people Trump accused of aiding Biden's 2020 campaign via their collective public statement about a laptop of Biden's son, and directed the Director of National Intelligence and CIA Director to submit a report within 90 days, recommending additional disciplinary action and how to prevent the intelligence community or anyone who works for it from being inappropriately influenced by domestic elections, which, funny enough, all of the things that he's saying, you know, like there is going on. He's just mad that they didn't want him to try to overthrow the government. Right. And, not very good. Not very good. So yeah, that is, let's see. Trump news. Let's do Trump news. Let's see. Because he definitely did a couple other things here. Let's see. Live updates. Trump says he'll declassify JFK, RFK, and MLK records. Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm interested to see if it actually happens. And once again, if everybody's talking about these, no one's talking about, you know, these. It's kind of just a thing to make people, signed an executive order. So this is day 4. Revoke past government policies, he says, acts as a barrier to AI policy. Declassifying these documents, which I'm okay with that. GOP senators have advanced nomination of Fox and Friends host for the nominee of Secretary of Defense, because if you guys don't know, his entire cabinet is just full of clowns. Seattle judge has temporarily blocked the executive order ending birthright citizenship because no shit, you can't get rid of the fucking Constitution that easily. And Trump told World Economic Forum in Switzerland his tariffs would bring trillions to the U.S. Treasury Department and that he would demand the interest rates drop immediately, even though one, that's not how lower rates happen. And 2, once again, maybe the U.S. Treasury Department will get trillions, but those trillions are not coming from the other countries. They're coming from U.S. taxpayers. And it's insane. So the government had 50 years to clean the files up. I don't expect much. Yeah. That's why, once again, it's just a thing to make you, to shine your eyes away from something else, you know? Trump says he plans to reach out to Kim Jong-un, of course. More of his people being sworn in. Treasury Department deploys extraordinary measures to avoid breaching debt ceiling. First batch of new forces being deployed to the border. What to know about Trump's executive order regarding transgender people. So that order we talked about. Order calls for federal government. Oh, guys, this isn't going to say anything because it's just not clear exactly what this means. So we had the AI. Oh my God, dude, I can feel my voice. I'm going to have to just not talk for the rest of the day. Trump pardons anti-abortion activists who blockaded clinic entrances. It's a great honor to sign it. They shouldn't have been prosecuted. Anti-abortion advocates have ramped up calls. I don't know too much about that. President Trump pardons anti-abortion activists. Signing order to boost U.S. role in crypto. Funny that he has his own crypto. He's trying to reshape FEMA. Is preparing. Oh yeah, he's talked a lot about how he wants to politicize FEMA support towards certain states. Trump is preparing to reshape the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which has been on the front lines to responding to wildfires in California. He spoke at length about the issue of congressional Republican leaders on Tuesday, discussing whether the agency should continue providing assistance to states. Otherwise, I mean, he's open to meeting people who he charged or convicted January 6th. I don't know. It's just more bullshit. It's just going to be more and more bullshit. I feel like he got most of the bad stuff done, but it's going to be a rough 2 or 4 years. Hopefully, if we get some more elections, because that is not a guarantee after what he tried to do last time, you know? Oh, this was the biggest thing I was trying to talk about here. This is a little bit more. Trump's freeze on health agency communications has also led to the cancellation of scientific meetings. Is leading to another disruption, the abrupt cancellation of scientific meetings. The move covers a swath of health conditions, from antibiotic-resistant germs to National Institutes of Health organ evaluations like cancer and diseases. People registering for that antibiotic resistance meeting next week were greeted with a message saying that the sudden cancellation comes as the new administration considers its plan for managing federal policy and public communications. Just fun stuff. Fun stuff, right? Fun stuff here. So if anyone has any other specific things I missed, feel free to, feel free to post anything if anyone wants me to look into anything. Otherwise, I do think this is probably where we're going to be nearing the end, because holy shit, my voice. Holy shit, my voice. Can't wait to see the VA understaffed and underfunded, and then the Republicans yelling about how it needs to be privatized. If you're going to make this a regular thing, you need to remind yourself to take a breather so often, not yell so much. Yeah. Heading out for the night. Thanks for the stream. Hope it doesn't hurt your vote too much. This article's description isn't great. The TLDR is NIH stopped meetings that are required for funding of biomedical research. Yeah, that's crazy. Elon doing the Nazi salute. Yeah, we talked about that. We showed that a little bit. And obviously his defense of, people, it's like, if it walks like a Nazi and it talks like a Nazi, it's probably a Nazi or someone that's trying to get support from the Nazis. That's my take, So honestly, if anybody in stream happens to be a Trump supporter, politely step on several Legos. Well, and the thing is the goal of these things. I mean, like I know that, we kind of have an echo chamber ourselves, right? I've made it very known that, what I stand for in my videos and stuff like that. I've made it very, very known. And so I don't really expect, to be changing too many people's minds. The hope is that, for those of you guys that are, debating or talking with people or your family or friends, right? I just want to go over the fucking facts, and then we'll go over my opinions on them. And I'm trying to be honest, when it's something that I don't know, something I don't know, I'm down to be fact checked and for people to call me out, because that's what I care about. I care about the facts and then talking about my opinion on those facts. So I wanted to, as this first kind of political stream, just go over, right, everything that Trump has done in the first 4 days, because so many people don't know. So many people that supported him, people just think of the funny things, right? They think of Elon doing the Nazi salute. They think of Trump trying to rename the Gulf of America to Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. They think of some of the fucking trans stuff, right? And that's really harmful too. But there's just so much. There's so much that has already happened, and we're only 4 days into his presidency, right? So I just wanted to go over, I wanted to go over everything with you guys and have a conversation, and hopefully this is something that was good. Also, I've just been completely missing everything. I guess this is a perfect ending here for it. Azzy O'Dazzy wants me to dab and dab and dab. There you go. There's your dabs for your political streams.